and I am live.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
Yay!
Alrighty. So as I start handing out stream URLs, why don't we all introduce ourselves? Or actually, better yet, how about after I post those links?
Yeah, sure.
Alrighty. Let's see. Da.
Bless you.
Bless you. Let's hope we make this the new Joe Rogan podcast.
There won't be a new Joe Rogan podcast. Joe is on to bigger and better things that pay him more monies. Gotta give the guys some credit on that.
Let's hope we make this the new Joe Rogan podcast.
Dude, when do people just played it back just to watch that?
I didn't.
Certain they have. It must have happened.
So we continue on the election scene. Oh, good lord.
Alrighty. Now, lastly, to Reddit. Oh dear God. Da-da. Alrighty. And there we go. All links have been posted. And let's see, let's fix this. Let's fix what's on the playing in the background real quick. And come on, connect. And there we go. Alrighty, so hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Rwby Fap podcast. I am your host, the Anime Guy. Now, my lovely guests, why don't you all introduce yourselves one at a time?
Hey there, I'm... Oh, shit. You go first.
Okay, fuck it. My name's Coop. Y'all might know me. You probably, but like I have been on before one time, and I'm around other places. So, I tend to do that
You make yourself sound like all could, like I am everywhere yet nowhere.
I'm a leaf on the wind, man. I go wherever my heart takes me to shitpost on various places.
Okay. I am just a fan. I've already
That stench. I've smelled it before.
what, like 4 times now, anime?
Yeah, yeah. You've only
Yeah.
ever not been on one podcast.
Yeah, and so it's nice to be back. And yeah, can't wait to do some more shit talking about Ruby because it's a shit show.
You can go ahead, DJ, if you want.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm Mr. DJ Fly High. I'm the new guy in this lovely little thing called the Rwby Fap. You'll see me in such places such as this podcast and and some other podcast.
I guess. I'm Draco Lord Nick 67. I hope all of you watching are having a great day today. So yeah, I joined, so that we could have some fun on talking about Ruby and some shitpost here. having a good time, having some laughs. Yeah, you for having me here.
Prophets would send to silence me.
Alright, so the topic of discussion today, if everyone has introduced themselves, has everyone introduced
You
themselves?
must be close.
Yes.
Yes.
Come out,
Yeah.
so we make
Let's hit
Alright,
it.
so the topic of discussion is rather Yang's line, also known as don't try convincing them, Blake. They're just following orders.
stand for
Now, if anyone has ever heard of, or if anyone knows their World War II history, everyone would know that particular line was an excuse by the Nazis and the SS for the reasons why they did those horrible crimes against humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Nuremberg trials, right?
Yeah, the Nuremberg
Yeah.
trials.
I shall not.
So, yeah. That really doesn't make sense given the context of what actually happened in the show. And, in fact, other shows, one in particular is actually a cartoon, did it a lot better than any other show that I've seen. Several of us anime fans would also say that they've seen anime that have done this particular bit better than anything else.
Go, officer. Follow when our reinforcements arrive.
So,
The interesting thing though is like prior to the animation itself, they were all saying like how Atlas is going to be this organization, or not militaristic organization, militaristic country.
Yeah, and like didn't they say that it was gonna be essentially a militarized Trump America or something?
Yeah.
Militarized
futuristic
futuristic America.
America.
Yeah. What is okay? I want to ask this question. What is with this weird obsession of trying to awkwardly cram in 2020 politics into a show set years and years in the future? Why did they? Why did
Sort
they?
of fictional world too.
Yeah, we don't know that they're years and years into our future. We have no idea at what point the Ruby timeline takes place in comparison to ours. It may very well be that their world is much like Star Wars, having occurred a long time ago.
A long time ago, in a
Far
galaxy
away.
far away. But yeah, like she says that after Blake gets captured by the ASAPs who are following lawful orders. Like, Coop, wouldn't you say, given the circumstances of everything that happens, they're following very lawful orders, that they don't need to get their consciences mixed up about it?
I mean, yeah, like, if the order's lawful, you gotta follow it. And, like, also, not everything that you get told to do is an order. An order is a very specific thing. in certain circumstances. If somebody just tells you, hey, can you go pick up that fucking tool over there? You're like, yeah, sure. That's not an order you're following. Like, somebody asked you to do it. Like if there's there's also orders and then there's regulations, and actually like what the Aesop's was doing was an order, but like what Clover himself did was more of a regulation that he was following. Because, like, correct me if I'm wrong about this scene, but I think get like told directly that you have to arrest these guys. I think he saw one pictures were put up and he was like, well, in the regs it said picture up for somebody, I'm supposed to attempt custody. Like, that's just sort of your job. I don't think he got any communications that contained an order in it.
No, he didn't. He didn't, like, speak to I.
Yeah.
And, like, the whole scene, that whole fight between the Aesops and the rest of the Aesops and Team Rwby, it's just, if you look at it, reminds me of Captain America Civil War, that airport fight.
Oh yeah, where it's like and his team, like, they have to bring in Captain America and
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's another story I forgot about. That actually had
Yeah, that
something
was-
similar along those lines.
Hmm.
Like,
yeah, that
yeah. So, in terms of, like, everyone knows how it was rather, like, everyone knows everything that Rwby has done, and yet people still defend like they're disobeying unlawful orders. Yet, from the perspective of, like, from my perspective, and literally anyone else who has criticized this, those are pretty lawful orders, given the fact that A, they have broken a lot of regulations, which is punishable by death and stuff. They have told secretive information to a known terrorist, or a known terrorist at the time, and they have, and let's be real and let's be honest, everything that Robin Hill has been doing warrants her to be arrested rather than running for a campaign office.
yeah, cause but like, didn't she like only saw?
And then Blake and Yang, they just let her go. Well, and again, they tell her secretive information that I would entrust it to them. He didn't have to, but he did.
Yeah. He's a little rough around the edges, you know. You get the idea that he's legitimately is trying to do good for Atlas, and yet with Team Rwby, it's like, oh well, we can't. Oh yeah, he only didn't just tell you like his plans for Amity Arena, like is allowing you on this mission and has given you your huntsman licenses, but can't be trusted. Fuck off, Rwby.
Also, when you look at Robin Hill too, another thing bring up with her character is the fact that she was committing, illegal acts. Like, for example, whenever you go around and you threaten to harm the military, and you're doing that basically because you want supplies. I'm over here like, what? How did they not arrest her for assault, like attempted assault? Because they were actually going to, like, she was going to have the Happy Huntresses actually attack, Rwby's group that was there, trying to, get to the arena.
Oh yeah, in episode 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like if it wasn't for the fact that Penny was in the back calling out, "Hey, Robin Hill, do you mind having your huntresses back off? That's trying to get on my friend 6." Like, especially after a very specific line saying, "Oh, like what was the one line? Like she said that she was gonna take that one way or another. These Sapphires are gonna go to Mantle in one way or another."
Yeah, I think it was something like that.
Yeah, like that's a very direct threat.
Mm-hmm.
Like there is no way in hell that line in itself shouldn't have gotten her arrested on the spot, as well as with an attempt to do said threat.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
why I was
like,
saying the whole time. Or sorry, go ahead.
I mean, like, we're kind of led to believe that Clover and Robin have some history, because, like, it seems like they know each other quite well, but it never goes anywhere, you know?
I mean, like, I don't know. I never got that vibe from them. I think Clover knows who Robin is. Maybe they've dealt with an attempted robbing before from her. But in that case, like, if she's like,
Like, if she's tried to rob them before, then why the hell has she not been arrested? And what the hell is she even running for?
I mean, literally the only way he can still be out there is that she hasn't been caught and that there's like no evidence against.
And
But
yet-
even then,
but even then,
like,
even then they had like they had implications that she has done this shit before.
she
Oh, yeah.
basically admitted it to herself. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
she's widely gone around saying it.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that she's also a statesman as well, which makes it even more funnier.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, if she, she's not done particularly well. Like, I would say that most people do agree with her. I don't think anybody particularly liked Robin or what she is or how she acts and stuff. Like, she doesn't even have like a charming personality that can kind of back that up. Like it's one thing if you're a criminal, but you've got some charisma like Roman had, and you can actually get people. She's not very likable, and I don't get why people follow her around.
I don't even get how she has, like, her own crew.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like, what makes them so loyal to her that they would, like, commit commit felonies for her, you know?
They should have had her be more like how Robin Hood gets depicted, where he's constantly having fun with his merry men and getting into a bunch of parties. And I don't mean like the political rallies where she stands up on stage. I'm talking about had her then just like be in a bar, like drinking together and stuff, and telling jokes and laughing and stuff like that, and like have her be funny and nice. And
It's like when I made that video about honest discrimination, about how it doesn't exist in Atlas, and about how if they wanted to make Robin Hill a good character, yeah, I mean, they could have made her like the character she's based off of, which dealing the Cheetah's company, and giving to the Faunus, which Faunus could have, you know, if they wanted to show like the discrimination of Faunus, they could have actually done that within the story arc. Could them be like oppressed Atlas, you know, considering they were building up a discrimination arc about Faunus, right? Then have her steal, which could be the Cheetah's company, could be the rich. Then she could basically take from them and give to the Faunus, which could be represented as the poor in that situation, like the story of Robin Hood. I think that would have been, you know, obviously a much better way, and you know, it could have, you know, you could have obviously built on more of a story. That could have been a better way, in my opinion, of how they could have done. She, I think, would have been a more likable character had they done something like when maybe some like funny jokes to her character to give her like brighten the personality of her, I guess, to make her kind of fitting of the Robin Hood persona.
Yeah, like you could have had her like, you know, maybe she's a criminal, maybe like in the eyes of the Atlas, in the upper class of Atlas, like she is a criminal, but then you can see her like, you know, helping the foreigners and helping them, you know, helping them essentially live a, you know, a more decent life, but you know, of course she has to resort to like stealing shit from the rich because you know, in her eyes there are no other way. Plus it's a good way to get back at them in her eyes. So
there's various problems with that for the reason that they've got the whole thing going on apparently is because there's a big ass hole in the wall that just came out of nowhere and has always been there, I guess. I don't really get that. So apparently Robin is like, fix this hole because Grimm are now coming through it, even though they haven't been before. Was it always there? I don't know about that. And then Ironwood's like, yo, we can't really fix the hole. We gotta use all this dust for other stuff other than fixing the... Even though earth dust exists, they could sprinkle some of that and set it off and they would...
Cover up the hole that
Paul
quickly?
Weiss has done that. Yeah, like... I mean, like, it's like... I don't get that whole thing, the whole setup with her particularly good, just because it's like a big wall thing. Like,
it's like I'm really like wondering, why has Robin not just gotten a shit ton of earth dust, just like ignite it and be like, okay, job done, ladies. Oh, even get Weiss on the thing, because like she's been shown to use earth dust to create a wall, like she did it in the previous volume during the fight.
Then you've got where there's still like Grimm running up against the wall, and the wall is not really guarded. We see Ren and Nora have to guard it at one point, and they shoot some Grimm that are running up. Which I don't know if they hopped over it or if they would just like be sat there scratching at it or something. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, but then again, like, the Grimm shouldn't even be in Atlas in the first place, so...
Well, they said that they were, like, now being altered, which is another thing. A bunch of stuff wrong with it, like...
Other
they've been altered now. What? Why is Salem only just now trying all this shit when she can literally do whatever she wants? Is it just that she got bored and was like, okay, I guess it's time to take over like...
and why is it not commented on by other characters? Because it's like, okay, you can kind of a nation. It's really stupid that Salem decided to wait like a millennia to do this, but you know what? Whatever. You know, maybe she didn't have the resources or whatever. Then why don't the characters, like, when they see Grimm in Atlas, why aren't they saying, like, how the hell are Grimm here in Atlas? Like, it should be too cold for them to even be here. Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, and they also... But they did say, like, there are variations of Grimms that could survive the cold, like Grimm. Apparently.
Really? Then how come in the world of the Remnant for Atlas, they say no Grimm can survive in Atlas?
That's why they built it there. Yeah, because they would freeze to death.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it just becomes messier and messier.
Yeah. They also, that you mentioned it, they, I think in one episodes, they also did say that a couple of towns relied on natural barriers to get away, that the Grimm can't use. But you are right, guys. It is getting a whole lot messier.
I mean, that's like I've stated multiple times. Lore to Ruby, the biggest problem about it is the fact that it's just such a mess that at this point, trying to study it, there's no point because they're going to retcon anything that comes on. Because, like, here's the reason why. for themselves. They don't ever try to understand what they've written in the past or what has been written in the past. They don't care about what the canon was previously because they're just going to retcon it for their own convenience. Rather than trying to add to that lore, they're going to retcon it if they're like, oh, but we forgot, so it's a retcon now. You know, that's just what it is. Well, that's the problem that Rwby has, and that's why when it comes to studying the lore, it doesn't matter. Because it falls apart because it's just so disjointed.
Yeah, and when the problem with Rwby is there's no objectivity. There is no objectivity at all in this. It's just okay. One item will just rip it off. Another item will rip it off, and if you disagree with us, if you disagree with this, don't watch it.
Yeah. But back onto the original topic at hand, like...
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
So, everyone here has at least heard of Star Wars The Clone Wars, correct?
Yep.
And has
Good
anyone
stuff.
ever watched Season 2, the Umbara arc?
Oh, yeah.
I think, yeah.
Probably not. No.
Umbara I liked quite a bit.
Yeah. Like, there's a reason why I like the Clone Wars, especially the Umbara arc of Season 2. Because here's the thing, like, when General Skywalker is taken away back to Coruscant, the clones of the 501st get General Pong Krell. And you see the clones interacting with one another like, who the hell is this guy? And those who have known about him, they literally... Like, they already talk about, like, have you seen his casualty numbers? He sends his clones in to die. Like, they make explicit mention, like, yeah, this fucker is not for us because of all the casualty numbers. And people are like, and some of the higher-ups are like, those are just rumors. Like, those could have been just massive battles he had no control over. And they would always get counterpointed with, like, other facts. And these are just clones talking about how all of General Pong Krell's orders have been leading to a lot of their good men, getting killed. And eventually, following those orders led to them essentially creating a massacre for their own men with the 212 Attack Battalion, which is how we got Waxer dying.
Yeah.
And that was literally the breaking point of following orders like they were programmed to do, because everyone remembers the control chips. But, you know, it led to a massive revolt on Pong Krell that literally led to, like, a serious search for him, to kill him. And in the end, it was the guy that was always gung-ho about following his orders that ended up killing the fucker.
Yep.
And I especially liked how the fog of war was used in these episodes, because it demonstrates how not only some orders can be wrong, but also devastating, but it also creates this which orders can you distinct that are morally correct and which ones are meant to be followed.
Yeah. We've got. Sorry to interrupt. We've got some chat questions.
All right, let's hear them.
So Cheetah59 says, "Imagine there is an allegory for the coronavirus in Volume 8."
Oh,
That's my
dear God.
speculation. That's one of them. Yes.
Can you imagine Salem doing the snap and it becomes the coronavirus?
I actually just imagine her having a grim that
Oh.
she'll call it the Grimona virus.
Oh.
Oh, that would be
And the
hilarious.
next thing you know, they'll probably have a Joe Biden allegory as well.
Oh no.
Wait, hold on. So are they gonna like have Yang or one of the Team Rwby girls like accuse the Joe Biden stand-in of sexual assault and not get listed listen
With
to.
Oh no, even better, even better. The Joe Biden stand-in gets sniffs Blake's hair.
See, like here's the thing. Here's what I bet will happen because you have Robin Hillary Clinton who's going to go into jail with not Crow Bronwyn. So basically, what's going to happen is you're going to have a guy that's going to be like Joe Biden is going to take over. Because they threw Jacques in prison, who is the Trump allegory. So they're gonna put the Joe Biden guy in there next, I bet. And there's gonna be this Grim Rona, and then there's gonna be people going to bring up how he assaulted Faunus, I bet. Watch that be the plot to Volume 8.
I reckon 7 and 8 they're gonna try and copy Infinity War because that's the thing with Ruby. They copy a lot of popular culture. They
copied off My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
The opening.
Yeah.
Well, not just the opening. They also copied the whole punch in Volume 5 with Blake's dad, and then of course you had the Ironwood scene where like Ironwood's arm is like just purple. But he got injured.
Yeah. Another one. Archon of Plague says Biden allegory. So.
Pretty funny, actually.
That'd be funny. Imagine one of the symptoms of is getting dementia. Like Ruby gets dementia. Oh no, everybody!
And then all the characters have to wear face masks.
Yeah.
High Thunder says the next volume, Salem reveals that in order to survive the cold, they're infected with a virus that makes Nick. Yeah, can you imagine the quarantine, being a huntsman and being quarantined? That's good. That would be a death sentence. We're like, I need a fight. I need a fight.
Yeah. Let's see. Anything
I
else?
have toilet paper. Nothing else, but can you imagine toilet paper wars in the Rubyverse?
Oh, they would be so bloody.
That I bet you right now they're going to probably have to like get rid of weapons too, because weapons are bad. So what'll happen next? They'll be like, oh man, we don't support gun violence.
And it'll be even
Despite
funny.
the fact that all of our that every single weapon in Remnant is also a gun.
Actually, they've been not guns lately. Like, at most, maybe crossbows, thanks to, Robin Hill with her wrist-mounted crossbow.
Yeah. Let's see. If I were to think about it, I don't believe Ruby ever used her gun mode on anybody. It was always just for the boost function of it this volume.
Yeah.
Like, Yang kinda spammed the explosive shells with her shotguns. Like, I don't think she used them as shotguns anymore, but then again, like, fucking sticky explosives are at that, so I wouldn't call them out on gun stuff. Blake, I don't believe ever used her pistol mode on anyone, but she did use it for the clones that one time in the chase of Robin. And that's it. Weiss just spammed to dust. She usually does. She doesn't really have a gun mode, more just like a flamethrower mode.
Yeah, she doesn't. Yeah, long are the days gone where she used to have a fighting style that was based on fencing and dancing. Now she's just a Harry Potter wizard.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, yeah, she can basically. She She literally just stood around in the fight with like underdog in that fight, and he got pretty much just completely shit
I
canned.
love how you say that he was the underdog.
Well, I mean, voice. Poor guy.
I'm sorry, I just had to point that out.
There was there was a lot of things in that. Like I having watched it, what happened in it makes internal sense with just the fact that Weiss is like crazy OP. Like she's basically maiden levels. You could probably put her up against a maiden, given the fact that they put Winter up against a maiden, and she made it out pretty much. I mean, like she did get beat up, but like that was like more of a situational thing. I think you could probably put Weiss up against a maiden easily, and she would.
Except she's lost every single fight except one.
Well, that's exactly why. It's because she's OP. See, Weiss is what we call the Worf effect going on time. Yeah. For those that don't know,
Star
the Worf
Trek
effect,
fan, I understand that.
Yeah, the Worf effect is who was the security officer aboard the Enterprise during Star Trek. He was widely regarded as one of the biggest, strongest guys who was most good at fighting. And he would constantly get the shit kicked out of him by stuff that they came up on, so as to prove that it was very dangerous stuff. And that's basically what Weiss is now.
Yeah.
This is twofold. Either A, you have her lose every fight, in which case you are basically making her
Nerfed?
even though she be of worth to be able to beat some of this. Or B, you have her fucking stomp everybody into the fucking dirt easily, with able to do given her abilities compared to the general level of abilities among characters in Rwby. But then you basically have no tension in the fight with her. So you're basically stuck between a rock and a hard place with her now.
Yeah.
This could have easily been very overpowered.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to say.
I always think of Crow as the guy. He's not an Next Generation, Scottish guy. Chief is Chief. Yeah, his call sign is Chief. If I can recall. Chief O'Brien. That's the one. Crow is Miles O'Brien. I reckon. Like he always gets his ass kicked.
Well, aside from his first fight with Winter that we saw, yeah, Crow hasn't exactly been doing in fight scenes that he's been in.
Like he kind of did well with the mech in Volume 6, though.
Yeah, but the thing about that mech is that it shouldn't have happened in the first place, given the fact that somehow grenades and small arms doesn't penetrate its fucking armor, yet apparently swords can! And knives, apparently.
Well, yeah, and apparently a sniper shot, can crack the window.
Like, guns are pretty useless.
What's that glass made out of?
They're very useless.
Apparently it should be made out of strong fiberglass. Come on, or something stronger.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Coop, you were gonna say something?
Oh no, guns have always been useless. Like since day one. Ren literally had fucking machine pistols that he shot at a snake thing, and it did absolutely nothing.
Well,
it was basically just flashes.
Well, I mean, considering a snake of that size, even a natural one, like, there's a story from the Congo, like, quite a long while ago. There's this 65-foot-long snake that a bunch of military men had found out that had killed their comrades. So, let's just say it took basically anti-tank weaponry just to pierce its hide.
Mm.
Damn.
So, yeah, that happened. So it would make sense that pistols can't do shit against a snake, but I would imagine a actual, like, Ruby's 50 BMG being able to do shit against it. But again, Ren's not a marksman.
Yeah, he's a spray and pray type.
Yeah.
Spray him, get out of there.
Yeah. Well,
But back to the weapons. It's interesting with the Huntsman and with the Robin's team that most of the people carry staffs.
Staves.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it's like, where are the guns? Like, where are the days of creative weaponry? You know.
Remember, this is Rooster Teeth. This means no guns allowed.
I mean, like, I'm not sure I would go that far. Like, I mean, like, again, the thing with guns and Ruby is that they have always been useless. So I'm not sure that it's like any different nowadays.
I know, but it's like it's like I don't know. Like, maybe it's just because I'm an artist or something. But I'm also pissed off by the fact that like there are no creative weapons.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, the weapons now, they're not really unique stuff that's different from, like, back to the first 3 volumes, right? You'd see weapons that were pretty cool, actually. You know, I mean, have Ruby's weapon with also there's that is a sniper rifle. You have
Rocco,
guns.
I have to say this because, like, for the sake of my gun fanaticism to be quenched, but Ruby's rifle isn't a sniper rifle; it's an anti-material rifle.
But she claimed it as sniper. That's why I said sniper.
Ruby is not a gun expert that she claims to be. Because
Of course.
Explain it, anime.
Because I will tell you, and Coop will tell you, Ruby's rifle, being that it's based off the frame of a Barrett M82A1, or in the military terms, a Barrett M107A, anti-material rifle, therefore it is called an anti-material rifle, and even so, 50 BMG is not used for sniping purposes. Like, sure, there are... Well, okay.
It's used for that.
Let me finish.
As long as you've got the guy in a position where you can say, hey, I wasn't shooting at him, I was just shooting at the wall and he happens to be behind it.
Yeah. Yeah, again, anti-material rifle, not sniper rifle. And even so, there have been very few instances where a 50 caliber rifle was used to on purpose as a sniper's rifle, because here's the thing, like, all that, the 50 caliber ammunition is not really meant for marksmen. It's like meant for machine guns. Like, there's a reason why it's called 50 BMG, Browning machine gun. That's what the ammo is used for mostly. And when you have people pulling off these crazy shots like White Feather and all these other guys, it's because they're just people who were bored and just so happened to see a stationary weapon, like, you know what? Let's see what type of accuracy I can get out of this.
Yeah, Carlos Hathcock was the first one who pulled off a kill at such a long range with
the machine gun.
He used a modified Modus for it, and and that thing was pretty cool looking. I liked how he had the scope mounted offset on it. It was pretty neat, but like, as far as like it is supposed to only be used against stuff that's not living, which is dumb. I hate the Geneva Convention. I think it's stupid and we get rid of it.
Well, we have to have at least some mortality, otherwise we'll lose our humanity in a war.
Morality?
Despite the fact that we're literally killing people, but
doesn't exist. More like hollow shells of what the characters once were. That's what exists.
But
Plan is that actually getting hit with a is better for dying than getting hit with 308 because it's quicker and you get like just basically blasted in half by it if it fucking tucks. So like you know really you're suffering less from it.
And I mean, we're using 20mm with those AC-130s on motherfuckers back in the Middle East.
Well, hold up. We were not shooting at them. We were shooting at the ground, and they just happened to be in front of the ground at the time.
Even funny. We were shooting at the ground, and then they stepped on the bullets.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that's how the next episode of Ruby's? Okay, kids, we're not gonna use bullets anymore. We're gonna add something even crazier. We're gonna add we're gonna have blanks.
Oh, you were gonna say buck.
Yeah.
Thing I've learned from the Punisher. Buckshots are a thing.
Buckshots are indeed a thing, Justa. You are correct.
I'm British, okay? Like, trying to find a gun here in England is the equivalent of trying to find a chicken that can fly. It's nearly not possible. Like, it can be done if you have, like, if you disguise that chicken as a bird or something, but it's almost damn impossible. And you can thank Dumb Blaine for that.
Like here's the interesting part with guns and whatnot is that they don't exhibit the same power as they once had.
Well, to a certain extent, they were somewhat useful in the Ruby trailer. That's about it, though.
Yeah, that's about it. And then afterwards, it's like, didn't your weapon used to do that? Nah, that was just for show.
Yeah, it feels like every character has gotten worse in terms of like their fighting styles and like holy shit, like the white trailer's like my favorite out of all the trailers, and it's because like you know you can see like with Weiss it's not only like she's fighting but it looks also like she's dancing in a way as well. And the way she like I want to say started again. Like she fights with such elegance and you know incorporating dust and stuff, and her semblance as well is so. Now like I said before, she's just a Harry Potter wizard.
Okay, I can imagine Klein going, "You're a wizard, Weiss." What? Weiss.
I can't be a wizard.
But you are Weiss.
Oh god.
And then Whitley can be that stepson, doesn't he?
Oh yeah. I think it's like Harry's cousin.
Yeah. But back to the how we were talking about conflicts in Atlas and whatnot. You know what's interesting? I'm surprised there hasn't any conflict between Juniper and Ruby. I'm really surprised after all those volumes.
Well, no, like Juniper is kind of even more sort of brought to a standstill than Ruby has. They never really had anything to do in the first place. Like,
other than like Team 2.
Yeah, much as I like them, utilized for anything. And so, like, you could possibly get rid of them entirely and it wouldn't really change much. And
I think the only thing that would change is, like, Pyrrha. Like, literally, I feel like Team Juniper was only made just for Pyrrha.
Well, here's the thing, even that, and they never plan a volume prior to doing it. They killed Pyrrha off in Volume 3 just because they had thought of that for that volume. But they had implemented her from day one, and they didn't really have a solid plan for her.
Really? Because I could have sworn that, like, I think it was like
No.
in Shane's letter or
Like Shane. Well, here's the thing. Shane's letter semi-believable, but we can't fucking go off of it for any. He in the letter himself stated that they did not plan things out ahead of time. They more or less just went off of what Mike said and stuff. And
Okay.
I don't give credit to Shane either, because he had his own. He had his own motivations behind stuff, and I don't trust Rooster Teeth. But that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm just going to buy everything that Shane put in that letter. There's a lot of and both of them are just like secondhand, and I don't know.
I don't know, like a couple of voice actors after Shane's letter came out have said like, yeah, that's most of it's believable, stuff like that.
Yeah, like
there have been people I've talked to that actually Shane was saying the letter insiders. For example, is a very, very still continues to go.
Yeah.
That we've known of through other means, though, as well as the letter. And
Yeah, I mean, there
like
were
I said,
classroom reviews as well.
there are some things that are believable and have. There are also other things in that still don't have anything. So I can't fully buy Shane's fucking deal on that. And now, and like at the end of the day, the main thing with it was all about. And the thing about that is that there's a lot of like emotional weight behind the whole.
Yeah.
So all of that stuff, and we don't know whether or not that sort of thing is all just like a way of trying to strike back or what, and so I can't really fully officially trust anything of either side fully.
Yeah.
I don't know what the whole deal is, and I can't really trust secondhand shit either. Times with a lot of things, there's insiders and supposed insiders who give me stuff that and I'm like, but I can't trust just word. Unless I get more solid shit, I can't trust anybody.
Oh, yeah.
By just their word alone.
This is why when it comes to jump to things either, because I talk to insiders, but until I get more information, like the thing that really tells me a lot when I talk to these people, right, is when the stories add up to sounding the same and they're from multiple because like whenever you have different stories, that is already an indicator that something's being fabricated. But you're being told multiple things that are actually the same, that's believable proof. I mean, of course you have to have like concrete evidence for that proof, but that's I guess the best way to put it is like that is more believable than the stories all being just completely different and sounding. That's why to me I'm like, some of this is very interesting because when these people are telling me same story, like things are adding up a little more than they would had the story had they all been very different from one another.
Yeah.
That's why I wait on things to talk about it because I still want to. And I'm not saying that they're 100% giving me facts that are 100% true. But until I know when I talk.
Well, even an insider might not 100% know everything that's going on in the company. That's the thing. There's secrets within secrets. There's cloisters within cloisters and little cliques and stuff like that.
Man, you're making it sound like it's some House of Cards, House of Cards secrecy shit.
It's not. It's literally just the way any organization works. There's certain groups of people that hang out with like just each other mostly, and it's not necessarily that they're keeping secrets. Talked to them in a little bit, and you just go up to them, and they're like, "Hey, have you heard about such?" And you're like, "What the fuck? Nobody told me about that
also
shit."
also how rumors get started too.
Yeah.
That's another thing. That's why you always have to be careful with everything until you at least know, like I said, with actual evidence back it up.
Yeah.
And I think this is where the fandom falls significant.
What was that, DJ? You cut out.
Oh, yeah. That's. Oh, sorry. Am I still cutting out or?
No, you're good now.
No, I can hear you. Yeah.
Significantly, like they don't get actual evidence, and they come up with these ridiculous hot takes and put it on Twitter, going, "Yeah, this is canon, actually, guys," and you're like, "What?"
Yeah. But yeah.
The big thing is that when you look at all this, whenever it's like I said, whenever I've covered this stuff, it's because I know a lot of things that have been told to me, and of course there's more things that come out to prove it. So, it was like when, for example, everybody thought it was Gray, and who was the person that was under Gray? That was with the animators, and they thought that they were the only people, and I'm like, oh no, there's more. There's more than just being Gray. It's like, so don't put all the blame on Gray. I mean, yeah, no, he definitely did bad things. I'm not gonna sit over here and just the only one doing it either.
Yeah, because
There were more people.
Yeah, because everyone, including Adele, saying like, check out. Axon spoke to a lot of people, and kind of wonder like, okay, Gray is everyone automatically assumed Gray was the big bad guy in this mess.
And in reality, there was actually more behind the scenes that was going on than just, and that's where like they all pinned it there. Like that's why when you
guys cut out.
no. Not true, because these people are. Why are they trying to jump ship as soon as possible, and then why are the animators still talking about how awful it was and that they were glad to? It's still more than just that, and that's what people need to see, is that that's why Rooster Teeth themselves, there's a lot more than people realize.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, there always is, but with Rooster Teeth, I think it has been like more of a big thing that they don't do enough behind the scenes stuff to where it's satisfying. Like a lot of behind the scenes things are more in depth than Rooster Teeth's. At least the ones that I've seen. And I'm not a huge behind the scenes guy, admittedly. But I think the only ones that I gave a shit enough about enough to watch were the ones from the Lord of the Rings movie. But those were on those DVDs. Those went really, really into it, and it seemed like they told you about just about how they did everything. And with Rooster Teeth, I've seen some of their behind the scenes reels, and people have told me don't really that in addition to the ones I've seen, they don't go super in depth on it or tell you how they do a bunch of stuff. And also, like, one of the biggest things I think that they might need to do in regards to Ruby, at least, is just show Monty's notebook.
Yeah.
I know that they're big against like spoilers, and that the notebook contains some that they are planning to later on, theoretically. But at some point, even if it's after the series ends, I think we definitely do need to see that thing, because that's a big linchpin with a lot of the stuff that has caused all this controversy and stuff.
Yeah.
And if
But
they
here's
showed
the
that, we would know what they had to work with.
Yeah, but here's the problem. The only it depends on who you get, who's the source of the notepad you get it from. Would you get it from Sheena, or would you get it from Miles, or would you get it from Kerry?
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, Miles and Carrie, I would never. I'm gonna be real. I would never believe it.
Yeah, especially after that Tifa hot take. My God.
Oh yeah.
Like I would.
Well,
Tifa hot take or the tweet whenever Miles stated that they had been planning the Atlas arc since Volume 1. I don't buy that for 5 seconds.
Oh, so Miles was like a fucking psychic and was able to predict that Trump was going to win and exactly how he was going to win.
No, we already know very well that is not the case. Most of us do, anyway. There are some who
Those with brains do.
It was not meant to be an allegory, but like they're very, very small among like more chilly type guys over there, and like most people will look at what went on. Most people will look at what went on in Volume 7 and be like, yeah, that was the 2016 election allegory. You know, it doesn't matter what side of the political spectrum you're on, what side of the fandom you're on, what side of anything. Most people will look at it and go, yeah, Robin's supposed to be Hillary and Jock is supposed to be.
I beg to differ, because I've talked to many people on r/Ruby, and they will firmly deny that to be the truth.
There were people, there was people, because in one of my videos, there were people that were trying to tell me that I was delusional because I was saying that it was the 2016 election. I was like, that's exactly what it was, and they were trying to justify the Robin Hill allegory for Hillary Clinton in that Jacques was not an allegory for Trump. Yes, they were. I'm like,
yeah.
And then also there was another that was on their side.
Go in for the fucking allegory shit. Particular case, it's pretty obvious, and to the point where it's Unicorn also saying, yeah, it was an allegory.
And he was loving it.
Yeah, he liked
Well, yeah, because it was his wet dream of how the Democratic election should have gone, where the Democrats win. It was basically his wet dream, essentially.
Oh, I can imagine Unicorn War just going, oh yeah, that's a great scene, great scene.
Yeah, it's just too bad that now that wet dream's gone, especially since Bernie has dropped out of the race for the Democrats and now is being replaced by Joe Biden.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for the Joe Biden character.
Like I said, the thing is, there were people that were asking me. There was a big part of it also was there were people that were actually also on the side of that were aware. The SJWs in the Ruby community were I made my reviews and they were hating on me over it. And one of them was like, "Do all right?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "What?" I was like, "Why would you immediately come to a conclusion of that from a are you serious?" And then they were like, "Are you a Trump supporter?" And I was, whether I am or it's a root. What does that have to do with me not liking a form of entertainment because they're throwing in politics? It's you gotta be kidding me. It's which they were automatically labeling me as alt-right. No, not even that. With the political, you gotta be kidding me. I mean, that's how this goes. It's either A, they're denying that it was a political allegory, or B, they're jumping to see what people's politics are. And it's like, what in the world is wrong with these people?
Yeah. But
It's complete insanity.
Yeah. Anyways, back to the original topic. So, like, Clone Wars was one thing that has done not only the fog of war well for a children's cartoon, because, like, in that arc, you see people get crushed by shit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, like, like you see people get crushed by shit. You see people get blown up, or like you see the enemies get blown up point blank from rocket launchers when one of their tanks are down. like seriously, like you cannot fake that in a like. That is next level shit of balls that Dave Filoni had during the Clone Wars. During the Clone Wars when he was making it under Cartoon Network. And
I mean, it was also made well.
yeah.
What'd you guys thought of
It's
the
made
final
real well.
season, by the way?
It was good except for the Ahsoka arc with the two Latino. Wasn't digging that, but like otherwise,
that was actually forced upon him by Lucasfilm because of Kathleen Kennedy.
yeah, like if
Yeah.
you skip that part, Pop fucking knots like
Yeah.
one. I would say like nearly one of the best.
And the Maul and Ahsoka fight was all.
Oh yeah, it was
The-
just so
like-
amazing.
Like the Maul and Ahsoka, the last 4 episodes of that season, that and the final episode of all of them, that's they pulled out all the stops on that. It was incredible. I might have had to have wait years and years to finally get to that point, but damn, they fucking delivered. It was cool.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Like it was so great just seeing my baby Ahsoka go from a amazing Jedi Master. Well, not Jedi Master, sorry, but to facing Darth fucking Maul. Just my baby.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Nah, it's okay, dear. It's okay. You may speak about our child.
My baby was growing up.
Them's is them's was some good times, and I don't know what they're going to do now, but like whatever it is, like I mean, there is the Mandalorian, and Filoni is involved with that, so that's always good stuff.
Yeah.
I really dug the first season of that, so like we get more of that. That ought to be well, we are getting more of it. Season 2 has been confirmed. If it turns out as good as the first one, I'll like that. I think the Filoni side is getting like some good clout and some good respect and some good momentum built up behind it now, to the point where they're gonna shift and wait over to it. Which he deserves it. He knows how to do his Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting question for you guys. Could you guys who do you see in the Rubyverse as Anakin Skywalker? Like if you were to compare the Clone Wars to Ruby.
I mean, the
Okay,
closest
that-
thing probably would have been Summer, because she's the parent of the hero child who is the chosen one, in a way. But like, that's like as good as you get, and it's not quite
Yeah.
like at all.
I was thinking more
You
Ruby
know there
would be
wa-
the Anakin.
There were some theories for all of the reveals about Salem and stuff that in fact Summer was.
There were those, yeah.
Oh
But,
yeah, like I think I saw a theory somewhere that like that like whoever Salem was somehow infected Summer or something, and is like using her or something like.
There was a theory. It was a theory of would be like Ozpin, but also reincarnate, and her victim was Summer. That she basically used Summer's body. Yeah, she was Summer. That was one of the biggest ongoing theories.
But
Yeah.
no.
Nope.
Always thought I was like, nah. I was like, I doubt that they would do that twice. Why? I always thought to myself, like, she probably was the one who made her.
Which that's almost been entirely confirmed at this point. So, like, and it's not even that big of a deal, honestly. Summer has very little impact on the show, like whether she's alive or whatever.
Can you imagine Salem going up to Ruby in Volume 8 going, "Join me, Ruby, and I will bring your mother back from the dead."
Oh, wait, no. Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy.
I've always this is kind of the funny thing.
No, wait, hold. I have cookies.
Here's the way I've always seen it: is like Cinder was like the Darth Vader, and Neo's the Boba Fett.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's kind of
Yeah,
the way
I can see-
I've always seen it. Or not half as good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
because
I was
always the way I
already.
viewed it.
I was thinking more Anakin. I was thinking John would be the Anakin, because now that Pyrrha is gone, you would just thing. But
Yeah.
And then we could have the best boy Ren be like, "You were my brother, Sean. I loved you, Sean."
I hate you.
And then John's just sitting there burning. I hate you.
I can imagine John. I can
And Ren
imagine
is like, oh, gone.
I can imagine Ren just going like, "Don't do it, Sean. I have the high ground."
Do it, Sean.
You
I have the high ground.
You underestimate my power. The power of the cookie monster.
No. Better yet, you're like, you underestimate my power. The power of the sword.
Don't do it, Sean.
Anyway, since we're on like this tangent, like why do we have? Let's go to the chat. See, or
Oh.
if someone can read off the chat as I try to kill this motherfucking boss.
I'll fucking do it. But hold up, let me fucking see some shit. What? When was the last thing that got said?
R. Ruby denies anything bad about the series. For such is the nature of Reddit.
That's like true. It's the same with it's the same with like Ruby Twitter as well. They deny anything bad.
Let's
Yeah.
go on one of the videos which later tonight. But everything is late tonight. I'm going to be covering the Ruby, and I've been looking through here while talking here. They're denying. They're denying that the comics are. And because like one person was saying that I've archived the tweet. They were hang on, let me pull that up and I'll read it. They were literally stating that basically it was nothing but on hiatus and that it would come back later. And I'm like, oh, DC dropped them. They just dropped them.
How is it hiatus when DC just said we're dropping Ruby? Like, how can you come up with that conclusion?
So much in denial.
Oh, man.
They don't work with common sense. They just go with their own beliefs in their head. They make up fabrications. That's why I call a lot of them denialists, because they deny the truth.
They don't do cents. They do dollars.
Even then, they don't get dollars.
They get soy instead.
Miles is just sitting there at his office, just like drinking soy milk.
Speaking of the Rwby comics, though, like you guys all read the Rwby comics, right?
I've read one of them.
Because
and I
you
only
sent
made
the-
one
Through
review
it
because it
down,
was shit.
yes.
Yeah.
Through it down,
It's 'cause
yes.
you sent
I've
them
read
to me, so I gotta thank you and Adele for that.
You're welcome, guys.
God, I feel like bashing my head into a wall after reading that.
Although I will admit, I do like Barbarian Ruby, where she just looks like a barbarian. That was funny.
I'll say this. I'll agree with Adele on this. I did think that Willow was way more entertaining in the comics, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Although
Well,
the
there's only
allegory.
one scene in the show, so like you can't really very well get a lot of entertainment off in just one scene.
Yeah.
Still, I'm saying I think they did it.
The stupid part about the comics was the whole they were trying to push Bumble much in the comics, like the whole bottle cap. Like seriously,
A bottle
Yeah.
cap?
Yeah.
There was a flashback with the whole bottle. Just that was terrible.
like the whole soda pop bottle cap. What was it like? Blake threw it in the sea, and then Yang sort of sea.
And then like
Yeah,
a
the
fish
fish-
ate it or something, and then
Yeah.
and then Blake
Then she
finds
got
it
the bottle
later
cap.
on.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
mean,
like,
how do we even know that's the same bottle cap? I mean, for all we know, that could be another random bottle cap that someone else threw into the sea. That reminds me, Blake is a litterer. Like, she literally threw a piece of plastic in the sea. Imagine how those grim monsters are gonna feel.
Maybe this is why the
Blake
Grim
is a
attacked.
murderer.
Maybe this is why the Grim actually attacked Blake. Knew she was littering. They were like, "How dare you attack our home?
no, I
Dare
can
you throw your
imagine.
trash in it?"
I can imagine. I can imagine the Grim doing a Greta Thunberg going, how dare you? You're like, what the fuck am I looking at?
Am I having a fever dream?
Yep.
Like the Grim with her face on it. How dare you?
Anyways, I mean, like, oh, we have fallen so off topic.
Yeah,
It
I'll
just
throw in a
goes to
couple
show
of the
that
chats.
it just goes to show that we're perfect and Ruby isn't.
Yep. It's with a couple of the chats, by the way. Like one was saying about how Jean is the only with stakes in the series. The rest of the surviving members of Juniper is extra fat.
I mean, you're not wrong. Oh no.
They're not wrong, but they're
Archon?
not right.
See, that's the thing. I think that they could have just dropped them off somewhere. I'll be real. They could have stayed back in Mistral. Haven needed somebody to, at least maybe in Haven. Forget that. Who cares? Apparently,
Yeah.
that doesn't matter.
Like, one thing they could have done if they wanted to write John out was, like, because he and his teammates were the ones that caused that entire debacle with the Leviathan Grim, why not have them stay behind and defend Argus, because that's where his family is, or at least a part of his family, to defend Argus, and Ruby has to go on alone.
Yeah.
That's one way they
That's
could
the
have
others.
written
They
them
were
out.
up. Yeah, they could
Here's the way
have. But
they could have written him out. They could have just caught him on fire and he fell off a cliff.
it's like I died
fine.
the way Pirate died.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
There-
Oh, speak. I've gone.
There's ways he could still be useful, but they're kind of dwindling down. Like they never quite got him to a point of like relative competency that was. As far as like Ren and Nora, they character, but they're not using them like that. And
No, they're
so-
using them for relationship.
Yeah, legitimately, like they should be ships that gets together off screen and you don't even notice, and then like they're just like, yeah, we're together, and you're like, what the fuck? And what? You notice? Like, yeah, we totally were. Who cares? Like, that's which I mean, I perfectly fine with that, and then just have them be like, not have any drama between them, and just have like them being like
A loving,
married
really.
couple. Yeah, just an old married couple.
See, that's. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm pretty much done.
I was gonna say what they could have done was they, considering that Kuriyuri, was destroyed, could have actually tried to rebuild that.
Yeah.
Or because they could have stayed behind and done that, because that could have actually been a good way to, you wouldn't have had to kill them. They could have rebuilt what they lost. They could have been the new founders of like a new village in memory of Kuriyuri. Could have been a good way to end off their arc in Mistral, in which they could have also, with reopening Mistral. I think that would have been character arcs, and then your cast wouldn't feel so jumbled up with so many characters, because they keep introducing more and more and more, and then do literally nothing with majority of them. This would be a way to be able to lower the weight of the cast, because, like I said, they had the Ren and Nora's story be done, be enter later on to help battle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but then they decided to join in the crew and
The problem was
What was that?
Oh,
I
you
couldn't hear it.
cut off there, Draco.
whoops. Oh well, I was saying that. I was saying that. What part did I cut off at?
You cut off on the I said when they now join the Team Juniper. Team Juniper's joining Rwby, and you're saying the problem is.
Basically, you just they could have just had Juniper rejoin during the final battle. They could have rebuilt Kuriyuri and helped with Mistral, like reopening Haven. And then that's when Ren and Nora could have come back, because that could have been a way to be able to like drop the weight of the cast, because they could have had a solution to Ren and Nora's story. And then the big problem with Jean, the fact that they've not really done anything to really make him idol. They've been trying to hype up his semblance for, haven't done anything with it. His character, which I think would have been more interesting had they made him more of a conflicted character after Pyrrha's death. And I don't mean like this conflicted, I would go so far to let my friends die if it killed Cinder conflicted. I mean like conflicted in the idea of what if Salem was wrong. Well, they could have done that, and he could have blamed Osmond for Pyrrha.
Yeah.
Which, that could have made him be a character that could have actually kind of, I guess you could say, temporarily became evil or sided with Salem because he might think she's wrong. Added a bit more to his character in terms of that depth.
Yeah.
And I think it would.
Yeah, I also thought about that. Like, why not just have John just go anti-hero or something like that? But no, they decided to go with the ships.
I mean, I say that that Pyrrha should have been the one to survive, and John should have been right, but
Well, no.
Been interesting though.
Yeah, because like a interesting version of expectations. Because like Pyrrha had so many death flags at that. I was basically saying, yeah, okay, she's gonna die. So like having Jean die instead, like it would have been like a great subversion of expectations. Plus, it would have like made Pyrrha all the more not only all the more pissed at Cinder, but give her more of a motivation to go after the Maiden powers.
Yeah, that relationship was a bit one-sided on her end.
Yeah.
What could have all, considering her character was so good in combat, right? If because this is typically a big happens is you notice in a lot in entertainment, usually the master dies and the apprentice lives on. You see a lot of that. It's supposed to be one of those coming of age stories. I think it would have been interesting if we had actually seen the other way around, where Pyrrha lived and Jean died, and see how much of a toll that took on her, as well as that could have made her have maybe anxiety issues in terms of fighting, because she was so talented with combat. Maybe this could have actually affected that.
Yeah.
So,
that is actually a thing that does happen in certain things, is that the apprentice will die, and whoever is stronger will be constantly beating themselves up over it because they could have done something about it, but were actually unable to, and they have to kind of deal with that. That does actually happen in quite a few things, where you've got a strong person who's got to protect a weak person, but then the weak pay and they feel good.
I think that could have actually been good story for Pyrrha. I mean, they could have gone more into that obviously as well had they gone that route. And how many conflicts that would have actually gone into her character, because she was always the fun-loving, peaceful character that everybody. A lot of people loved Pyrrha, for her personality. Not only was she a badass fighter, but for a character, she was pretty good. I mean, I'm not saying she's the best written character in the world, but you get what I mean. She was somebody people.
She was nice.
Yeah.
She was a sweet little girl. Sucked that she died.
Yeah.
But
And if you were to see her go from that to be emotionally distressed, I mean, that could have been interesting.
well, I mean, if the man you love dies, I would expect you to be emotionally distressed.
Unless you're just apathetic.
Which she wasn't.
Obviously.
She was heavily into Jean. He was very good for her.
You wanted the D.
She did. Quite a bit, and that she never got it was quite sad. If anything, I think she probably should have at least gotten it before either one of them died. At least give them that.
Yeah. Like if Jean died and they had done the nasty prior, she could have been pregnant, and then she would have to have the anxiety of looking at this child who was the only product of her love interest that she has left, and now she has to do other shit to keep this child safe because it's the last remnant of her lover. I've seen stories that happen that go that way, and they are pretty good, to be honest.
Yeah. The annoying part with Pyrrha and they kept on retconning her character. In Volume 6, it was oh, she died what she loved, and they're no, she didn't. She had no choice. She had a choice.
She had a choice. She didn't have to go fight Cinder.
Yeah.
Oh, that was her complete option.
Yeah.
It's not Cinder trapped her in a room is you're gonna fight me to death. That didn't happen. She was I'm gonna go fight Cinder, even though I could die, and I know there's a high chance.
She doesn't really accomplish anything by doing her. She buys Rwby to Silver Eye her, but she didn't know she was doing that, and also. There is actually literally no good reason for her to go and face off against.
Nah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than the fact that I might get the maiden powers back, but then again, it's so OP. You might as well just wait, get your group back, and fight on another day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or try and take her on with more than just one person, so that can gang up on her.
Power
exactly, if the maiden powers had been giving some kind of weakness that Pyrrha could exploit, then maybe I could buy it. Okay, so for example, let's say with the maiden powers, apparently the magic is tied in with their soul, right? So how about make it that when their aura goes, they can no longer use their magic, And so the fighters, all they have to do is try and pull the aura of the maiden down as much as possible to the point where they can no longer use the magic. Like, that's all you have to fuck, and also make the, like, maiden powers corresponded to their fucking name. Have winter, like, control ice and water, summer control fire, you know, what normal people would do.
That's like I said, they basically just made them nothing more than keys. That's all they are.
Like, I legit feel like that the maiden were originally meant to correspond to their seasons, but then like halfway through production, Miles was like, oh wait, but if we have the summer maiden fight the winter maiden, you know, we can't create an outcome because, you know, ISIS it. So that Avatar: The Last Airbender was thing where waterbenders and firebenders would fight each other on a weekly basis.
See, here's the thing with I always think of the maidens nowadays as like they're the Infinity Stones. Everybody, they're the Infinity Stones. They wield great power. Everybody.
Here's another thing that's another problem as well. Considering that you have Salem who has these very same powers, why didn't she just go unlock doors herself, and not have to use it? Especially considering that she's immortal and she can do this. Why not just go do it since it has to be maiden powers to open them?
Well, she also has magic herself, like that, like she was born with the same magic that Oz was, and Oz's magic got split up among the maidens. So theoretically, she still has all of it because she never got rid of hers.
Exactly.
Unless it's like a sort of, you know, the way a key has to fit into a lock, she can't shove all of that magic into this particular lock because the key won't fit. It's to be a very certain apportionment of magic fit each lock or something. Like, probably wouldn't, but like it is a very weird thing that happened, and it doesn't make sense, and it's another thing about the world though.
This is why they should have, because like the problem is that they never specified magic. Like they've never gone into how it works. They've never gone into, you know, what makes it different than semblances, which semblances are literally magic. It's like I guess you could say a dubbed down version of powers, considering, you know, they stated that entity would return, obviously with, you know, not even, you know, like a fraction. And
wait, Draco, magic does exist?
it always did. That was one of the stupidest lines of Volume 5. Like, no, magic isn't real. Oh, what do you do daily when you fight, idiot? What do you call that? What do you don't call that? Oh, look, I pulled that out of my ass. No, that's magic. What the fuck else would you call it? I mean, seriously, it's magic.
But with semblances and stuff, what's? Oh, there are other people with the same semblance as your. Like from Volume 1 to Volume 7, it was initially well, actually no, make Volume 6. We were initially led to believe that Rwby's semblance was the unique.
Yeah, so much for that.
Yeah.
Rwby, you're a special child. Next thing you know, discount Flash coming to the series.
Yeah.
Tell me I'm wrong. She's literally discount CW Flash.
Oh.
But she still has the same light she does when reruns, and over here like, no, this is discount.
And that's the sad part now. Like all of the stuff we're seeing in Rwby are just copied and been done better by other people. Just Rooster Teeth can't do it. They just can't do it. Like they have to. They're sacrificing the quality of their work just for social justice. At this point,
that's exactly what they're doing. You summed it up right there. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. And it's such a shame, like, and the consequence is basically, like, us anime fans who've seen most of the anime, throughout, well, maybe possibly through an objective, say to ourselves like, well, I love this series, and now I can't enjoy the series as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say, like, real world politics needs a setting. Like, you can understand if you're doing something like, House of Cards or something, where it's setting in the real world, and they do stuff like with I get more of that, like when you're pushing this stuff into fiction, it doesn't belong there. Like it takes people out of the immersion. It's not fun. People want to have a good time. They want to escape. They don't want to sit there. You know what I mean? Like, it's something that people don't enjoy.
Yeah, and also it's the same. It's like what's happening with Rwby is the same thing what we're seeing in Star Wars. Was it Clone Wars is that we're seeing in terms of how we're not seeing real world politics being inserted in and shoved into. But we're seeing it in other parts of Star Wars, like and the Rise of Skywalker.
You keep cutting in and
Dear
out,
God.
DJ.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's alright, man. It's probably just the internet.
Yeah. But yeah, like.
Good.
Sorry. You first.
No, I was gonna actually say that you're, because I heard everything he said actually.
Oh.
Yep.
I was gonna agree with his point because I heard everything he said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead and let everybody know that, because if it.
Yeah. So as I was saying, like what we're seeing in Star Wars, so it's not the Clone Wars is the exception, but we're seeing it in other Star Wars series. And it's painful.
Yeah. Yeah. Back to the original topic.
Yeah.
Like, for, like, Star Wars, obviously with the Umbara arc, it's just one bit of the just following orders to just follow orders. And of obviously doing immoral things. But then, of course, with just the... And it's not just the Umbara arc. Like, in Clone Wars, in Season 7 with the Mandalore arc, like, remember the struggle Captain Rex was trying to force back his ship from taking over his mind before it eventually does?
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
was sad to see. And that's the emotional, like, that's just one aspect of the emotional growth I want to see Rwby have. Like, okay, if you're gonna do this just following orders thing, at least have it be controversial like it was with Captain Rex killing Ahsoka, or attempting to kill Ahsoka Tano, because these two have been friends for years before she left.
They couldn't do it like they did it with. Honestly, like, the only reason they had the chips introduced was because they need a reason why the clones would ever do such a thing. They wouldn't. Almost none of them would ever do so because they received such an order.
Because even back when when Sidious was planning all was to eventually ensue, that he could take down the Jedi. That was and I mean, it's even in the if anybody's read the novelization to Revenge of the Sith, like back in the I think it was actually after the movie came out back in.
I did read it after the movie came out, but that was the only time I read it, so I can't remember it too well.
It even had the chips in there as well. So the chips had been, that was the about the whole thing. So you know, this is not a Dave Filoni idea. This had been implemented beforehand. So you know, this was the plan by Sidious to be able to use the clones to be able to kill the Jedi when the time was right.
Mhm.
Ah, yeah. I thought it was originally the chip was originally a different idea because I've seen so many lore videos on this particular subject, and I have not seen anything about the chips like till Dave Filoni.
Well, there was actually Thyre. There was a comic about Thyre, who was the leader of the Shock Troopers. Ideology on the chip. There was that. There was also, and that was the older comics before Marvel took over. You know, or not Marvel. Well, Marvel took over the comic line of Star Wars, obviously, but that's before all that happened. Before Lucasfilm got Star Wars, there was a book on that. There was also a book on the original clone. What was it? If you remember the 2003 Clone Wars, if you remember the Red Arc Trooper, I can't remember.
Yeah.
There's one about him also.
Fido?
The chip. They had multiple instances of it.
Huh, that's weird. I never saw that in the 2003 Todd Budietsky version of it.
It wasn't in the 2003 Clone Wars show. It was in the comics that were coming out around the time of after Episode 3 had come out.
Ah.
And that was the
Yeah, Dark Horse had the Star Wars comic rights for the entire time before they got handed over to Marvel.
yeah, because I was gonna say I have some Dark Horse comics of Star Wars. I have, and actually pretty cool that they because I think their lines are really good. I mean, there were some things that some people will be like, some storylines in those comics as well as novels too. But there were some really good comics too.
Well,
Yeah, I think
there was a lot of stuff that came out of the old expanded universe that was so good. Have actually, and I mean, like, end of the day, I can't quite blame them for that. That the stuff that they ported back over from it has not gone terribly well as it did when it was in there a lot of the time. But, like the fact they I pretty much called that this was going to be happening when in Rebels they ported Thrawn back in, and I was like, okay, they're going to start bringing back in the expanded universe stuff,
Well,
even though they kind of
that was
did.
Dave Filoni's intention. Like, that's what Dave Filoni did. Like, no one else expected him to do that. Especially Kathleen Kennedy, because she didn't want anything to do with the original trilogy and anything, because she by express order is a Disney to not mention anything, otherwise they would have to pay George Lucas. Now,
5%.
Dave Filoni obviously went against that, because like the original characters and shit from the expanded universe was what made Star Wars, even if George said specific things were not canon.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a distinct difference between George's and 343 Industries version of what's canon and what's not. Everything is canon until it's not, and Rwby's what is canon and what is not. Because with Rwby, it's just an excuse to get rid of shit from the previous volumes that they know they fucked up on. When it came to the Halo universe, 343 specifically was combing through everything to make sure everything fit in a nice tight narrative. Because back then, Bungie didn't really give a shit about the books. All they did was, like, they only cared about the game canon. Like, they saw other shit as either
supplementary,
either supplementary or just hampering their own creativity by canon lock. It wasn't until 343 came in and said, "God, okay, lore lovers, everything is canon. We're just gonna be combing through everything to make sure everything fits nice and tight." And then when it comes to George Lucas, yeah, sure, he says specific things were not canon, such as Jango Fett not being Mandalorian, but that was more like to get people off his back about that subject. But everyone knows Jango is sure as hell Mandalorian. I mean, just look like how in the hell would Captain Rex have the eye war paint on his helmet if he wasn't Mandalorian?
Well, they and the combat kilts that they wear was borrowed over from the Mandalorian, and the reason that they did all of that stuff was because they were clones of a Mandalorian who had provided them with his genetic samples in order to play.
And hell, like 99.99% of the entire trainers known as the Kuval Dar, which in Mandalorian means those who do not exist, 99% of them were Mandalorians. Very few of them were just different bounty hunters that Jango had trusted with his life.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. In the old EU canon, back when they had the Mandalorian Civil War that had resulted,
which that was good.
Oh yeah,
that was good.
That was really good.
I am wondering if they do as they've said they're going to do with the Mandalorian, that they will get that and try to put that back into where the true Mandalorians did exist in opposition to the Death Watch and to the pacifist Mando, so that we will actually have that 3-faction dynamic back in place from that time. Because if you remember, it was the true Mandalorians fighting against the Death Watch during that led to the pacifist Mandalorians seeing an opportunity to just take everything for themselves. And that is another thing about the Clone Wars, is that it was in place prior to Disney taking over, so it did actually bleed into the old EU, and some of the stuff bled into it.
Yeah.
But that not quite enough to the point where Death Watch Mandalorian, it's a really iffy area, especially during Rebels, where you can see they're kind of trying to work their way back there, I think, and hopefully they do, but I'm not sure if it's going to work out super great. I'd have to see it happen, or if it will even happen, before I know whether or not it will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Like, looking at it though, go. Sorry.
Yeah, like yeah, and with the whole dilemma of the chips with the clones, like you can visibly see, like when the clones have their helmets off, they do not want to do this, but because of their biological programming, they have no choice. And even in the Star Wars Battlefront 2 game, you can hear Jango Fett's voice actor as this random ass clone saying, "Did we have traitorous thoughts? We all knew what we were about to do. Did we have any traitorous thoughts? Wanting to leave the army, perhaps? We did, probably. However, we had just kept silent as we marched our way into the Jedi Temple." And then in one of the other missions to Felucia, where Commander, it was a Blue Twi'lek Jedi that was in charge of the
Ayla Secura.
Yeah, Ayla Secura. She, in the storyline for that mission, she saw the Jango's VA says, and there General Ayla Secura saw us personally herself and said that we were the bravest men she had ever fought alongside. And I cried. And I cried and was glad to have had the helmet on, because we couldn't bear to see the look in her face of what we were going to do next.
Oh man.
I mean, but if you were to compare that to Rwby, for example, here's what I'll say. In terms of the Ace Ops, right? They were doing exactly what they were supposed to do. They knew that it was their job to, carry out this mission. It's not like, they were oblivious to this. Like they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were getting into, and they knew that it was their job to fight for their that's what Alice is. It's their country they believe in, and it's also their job. By as Clover to do it. Like even Clover stated himself that he trusted Ironwood. Now we don't know what him trust him, but we know that there was this sense to. Otherwise, he wouldn't, have been like, "Oh, let's carry this out." And he knew what he was doing was wrong, but he knew he had to do it because he knew it was the right thing for his country.
Well, he did at least attempt to negotiate it. He was trying. Honestly, as far as Clover goes, it was not none of the stuff that happened there was his. Legitimately, he said to Crow before the ship crashed, "Yo, Crow, why don't we just go in and talk to Ironwood and see if we can sort this stuff out? Because I don't want to arrest you any more than you want to be arrested." And Crow at first was like, "Yeah, that seems like a reasonable." It was Robin, the one who wasn't even getting arrested. Yeah, she was like, "No,
I'm not gonna get arrested," even though she wasn't going to be arrested.
I think maybe Clover should have said, no, Robin, you're not even on the list. Like, this has nothing to do with you. Like, maybe then she would.
But Robin didn't care.
She just attacked.
Yeah,
she just attacked that her soy boy meat bag was gonna get arrested.
Yeah, she basically leads to Tyrion crashing the ship, which, that wasn't Tyrion's fault. That was more her fault. And they crashed the ship, and for some reason, upon the ship crashing and upon Robin needing medical attention, and upon Clover saying, "Hey, Crow, let's get Robin medical attention and bring you guys back in so we can negotiate this," at this point, just 180 and is like, "No, I have now that we are going to fight, even though I was previously agreeing with you up until now."
Yeah, and sorry, Cooper. I was going to say, and the funniest part about it is, why would they start a fight in the plane?
Which is absolutely idiotic.
Because apparently when Crow stopped drinking, he apparently started to lose his brain cells. Because you see, my dear viewers, it turns out that what Crow was drinking wasn't really alcohol. It was brain cells in order to make sure that he remained, at least had some level of intelligence.
I just thought this whole entire volume he was replaced and he started...
the entire Crow fight, really, if you look at what Crow does during that whole thing and the decisions he makes, there's no not stupid
for the sake of the plot.
Yeah, literally. I mean, Tyrion is like, "Yo, Crow, let's team up on this guy. I know you and your niece that one time, but hey, fight this guy." And then Crow is like, "Yeah, that seems like a reasonable idea. I'll fucking do it." And I'm like, "No, that's not a reasonable idea. You know this guy is a serial killer. Why would you?"
He tried to kill you. He tried to kill Rwby. He tried to kill he tried to kill your niece. He tried to kill you.
He tried to kill Penny. He tried to kill Ren. He literally killed everyone at that fucking rally. He tried to kill Robin. What makes you think he's not going to try and do it again?
And literally, the only way he convinced him was he was like, "Yo, if we kill this dude, then we can 1v1 after." Instead of Crow being smart and being, "How about I team up with this dude and kill you so that you can't kill anybody anymore, because I don't particularly care about 1v1ing you." He was like, "Yeah, I want a 1v super bad," and then he doesn't even get the 1v1.
Dead air.
Tyrion just runs away. You're like, wait, what about that 1v1? I changed my mind.
And then Robin Hill is somehow okay despite needing medical attention. What did she get stabbed with?
I still question how
morphine from
she
fucking Call of
lived in
Duty?
that cold tundra.
Honestly, Robin should have been the cunt who got stabbed.
Yeah.
What he would have missed her.
She should have been like she should have been the one to have suffered from the double penetration.
Like
Like I said, nobody would have missed her. Nobody.
I certainly would not have.
Hey, you
I
know,
would have thrown
I
a
would have
party.
laughed. I would have laughed and been like, "Wow, this is like the best chapter ever." Would have been higher on my list.
Yeah. And then
Look,
we
no,
also
you
have
oh god.
Oh, sorry. And then, like, in other media, like, in Halo 2, when we get the Arbiter, he and the entire Covenant religion is basically the entire concept of just following orders to follow orders. Just to do bad shit to people. I mean, think about it. The Arbiter, who has done nothing wrong, other than get into a fight with the Prophet, who was literally messing everything up from the get-go when they finally found the mythical Halo ring. This Prophet's trying to get control of the entire fleet because it's now a religious matter. And yet, here's this human ship that the Arbiter is that Valvadamy is trying to destroy, and yet this fucker is trying to take command of a military operation. And then he gets blamed for it because, you know, because he had to abandon Halo. And then, you know, in order to gain his honor back, he has to become the Arbiter.
And die like the others.
Yeah. Yeah, literally, the Prophet.
You know, the
meant his
Arbiter's
own
mission
words.
was basically to be a self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, it was meant in the terminals that you find in Halo 2A. You find out that you find out how the 343 Guilty Spark comes to the conclusion that yeah, bro, like heretic leader dude, you do realize that they're using the rank of Arbiter on people as a political maneuver, right? And you just see the heretic leader like, wait, what? And he gets super pissed that he starts his own rebellion just to get the Vadim's attention because he's the only one who could possibly stop a coup of the council by the brutes and the prophets. And the writing was on the wall, and then you eventually have the Arbiter learning everything from the Gravemind. And because he was so blinded by faith, you literally have the Gravemind saying, this one is of flesh and faith and is the more diluted. Because he was a Covenant fanatic. And actually, the Arbiter is probably a good, like, I could just imagine a Rwby fan being like the Arbiter, eventually finding out all of this shit was a lie. Can you all imagine that?
Here's the best line for you right here in terms of it has us means foes. He will make us brothers.
This show may have made us enemies, but it will now make us brothers.
I never forget that, like, cause I played Halo 2, so.
Interrupt, guys, but I've got to go. It's getting a bit dark at my end.
Yeah,
no problem.
Yeah, no problem.
No
Jay.
problem.
Yeah. I'll see you guys around.
Alright.
See you later,
bye.
man.
Yeah.
See you guys.
But yeah, other media that we all love and care for has done this type of thing better than Rwby, and it makes no goddamn sense in the context of Rwby because of everything that happened.
Yeah.
Like, why was Mero the only one who attempted to, like, engage with the Rwby team? Like, why was he the only one that tried to negotiate with them? and not the rest of them, where they were like, look guys, you can't fucking do this shit. We're going to fucking try and figure this out. Like, we can still figure out a way to, like, you know, together. Like, Team Ruby was being overly independent to the point where it was impractical at this point, because they basically fucked themselves over. They're going to have to...
No, they decide now.
Yeah. They've lost all of the resources of Atlas. It does put them in a low goods, but I don't know that they will follow up on that in a way that is actually where the thing with that is that they have made mistakes we would interpret as mistakes from, like, you know, just having looked at it. But within Ruby, a lot of times what seems to happen with them is that they do not get punished for their mistakes, and actually it is basically said that what is a mistake on their part was actually the right call, and they never made one. Like,
that's why I've always... Or go ahead, sorry.
Like, they have been, hopefully, they have been kind of, in this volume, having them kind of... and Yang kind of talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, but
In
it's about
Volume 8.
Robin Hill, and they just let the bitch go.
Yeah, well, in Volume 8, hopefully we would get some internal conflict within Team Ruby over this. Like, they would be like... They would see what has happened, and they were... Oh, Ruby, this was wrong. We shouldn't have fucking gone along with this either. This was a stupid idea for us to follow you around. Like, Ruby...
I think that
Ruby
should have been
is-
announced.
is severely hypocritical this volume. And
Yeah.
saying, oh, they're just following orders, when they blindly followed Ruby, not
Yeah, and
telling...
Yeah, and like, well, she is the youngest of the group. Like, she's
young-
only
And
yeah, like she may be the leader, but she's still the youngest. You know, like why
Yeah.
didn't or at the very least Yang like tell her, hey, like pull her aside and be like, hey Ruby, yeah, I don't think this is a good idea or something, you know. Like, why not have Yang be the one to tell Ironwood, or have Jean or Juice, or hell, maybe have Team Ruby like agree, like, you know, and maybe like Blake, like Weiss and Blake agree with Ruby, but then you have Yang and Team Juniper disagreeing with Ruby, and then of course,
Yeah, and that would make
then
a lot more
we'll make
sense
the
given how Yang was in Volume 5, despite having no reassurance that, you know, Osmond will stop lying in Volume 6 and shit, but also because Jean lost, you know, a pseudo girlfriend of 1 second, and supposedly
And Jennifer
Nora has a
lost
thing
that
about
teammate.
orders, because, you know, she just keeps criticizing Atlas to the point of, like, you know, they don't care about Mantle and shit like that. It's annoying as fuck.
yeah. Yeah, but like it would have been really great, and then you can have like Team Juniper be the one to tell Ironwood what's going, and then of course like you can have Ironwood like pretend to be nice, but then he then tells Ruby, I know everything. Juniper and your sister told me. You know, like how devastating would that be for Ruby? Like to not only realize that Team Juniper has gone against her, but also her own sister as well.
Yeah.
And it could really, like, and, you know, there would be more conflict in the group, because of course it's like, Team Ruby's like, because like, Ruby's like, what the fuck, guys? Like, you're meant to be on my, and, you know, they could have been like, we were, and what you were doing was wrong, you know?
That's why I was wanting somebody to like call her out so hard on the lies. I was like, oh man, I was like, do it. And It's just like you get this whole volume where she just keeps lying and lying. Even the one that tell the truth, and Oscar do it for her. I'm like, gotta be kidding.
Like, let's fuck Rwby and having on-screen development before getting a talk no jutsu.
God, that was horrible.
It was worse in volume 5 and 6.
She, like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know why I hold out hope, but for some reason I do. I hope maybe in Volume 8 they will actually call her out on it. And he left us on our without the military stuff that Ironwood was providing with us, and now we have to face off against Salem and him at the same time. And
Well, we have to suffer the consequences of your actions.
yeah, like, but I don't know if they'll do that. I don't know if anybody will ever call out Rwby for her mistakes, or
I'll be honest, it's just me, and you can call me apathetic towards it, but I really just don't think they will. I don't think they care to. You could say I'm an apathetic person looking at it because he's holding out for hope, and I'm like, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
If they do it, it would be good though. Like it would.
It would be good, yeah. No, I agree with you entirely on that. Just don't think they will. Think they'll see it as one of those. Yeah, we did the right thing. Let's continue to go forward. Like that's. I think that, and then they're going to try to pull away, and the rest of our group continue to look like the good guys. And it's not. I don't. They're going to try to teach them. Like this make them just seem like they're right all.
Yeah. It has been like sort of a thing with them a lot of the time.
That's why that's why in Volume 6 I was very frustrated with the speech that Rwby gave to Crow, because whenever she was saying that, we did this without your adults' help, and it's like, no you didn't. The adults have been saving your ass since Volume 1. Like, what are you talking about? Not making any sense.
And let's not forget to mention the fact that, I do not know, she tried telling an Atlas commanding officer to stand down because she was in the wrong, despite the fact they were stealing military assets from what is essentially an embassy compound.
Yeah.
Like, Coop, have you ever been on an embassy?
No, I haven't been on an embassy. I'm thinking about going as a fucking the Marines are the embassy guards, right? But you gotta get sergeant before you can go there now. They went back on that, by the way. It used to be you could put in for that as corporal, but if I re-enlist, because I'm not particularly fond of the idea of being a drill instructor, though I do have a good line because I have my brain scar, and I could be like, hey, you see this scar? It's from where they removed a part of my brain. You know what part of my brain they removed? No, sir. The part that gives a shit whether you live or die. Strip.
And when it came to the training segments of Volume 7, like, why not have, like, Marrow and shit, like Marrow, Clover, Element shit? Like, why couldn't they be like drill instructors and beating the tar out of them to show that, hey, this is why they're their superiors in the chain of command? Like,
Because Rwby can do no wrong and can never lose.
Yeah.
But it's like, I can't get a
they virtue signal Rwby to victory.
Rifle, apparently.
That's the thing I'm tired of, is it signal to victory like that, because like, when was the last time, besides when was the last time they really had a real loss and like a consequence to suffer from?
Like, I could only think of Volume 3. Sadly.
Exactly. That's my point. There hasn't been one. therefore, because there hasn't been a loss to have a consequence, they haven't learned anything. And people will argue, oh well, Team Ruby's learned a lot. No, they haven't. If anything, they've regressed as characters, and they were, and that's the problem. That they haven't grown, and they haven't had more hardships. Because like Volume 3, yeah, they lost. I mean, everybody can sit here and willingly admit they lost. But what's happened from there? It's only been going uphill for them rather than them having to experience more hardships. You could say, oh well, it's getting darker. Well,
it only got darker in Volume 3 and maybe once in Volume 6 with the apathies, but even then, like, there's really not much when it comes to being dark. And I have been told by people who hate my OC Forsaken, like, they tell me he's a dark, edgy character who doesn't belong in Ruby. And I'm like, but Ruby's had dark moments. And I list off Volume 3 and the apathies. It's just that the apathy, it was just a letdown because, let's be honest, the apathies just look like the Dead Space Dividers, but if they didn't have clothes and were black and white.
Oh, I did not realize that.
It's just like this is why I'm saying, like, so many problems with the writing that could easily be improved upon.
Yeah.
And when Yang was saying, she was saying that, oh, don't try to convince them, they're just following orders. That is, for one, it was supposed to be a spiteful thing Yang was trying to say, obviously.
Yeah.
He was trying to, act like these people are nothing more than, mind-controlled slaves. It's basically. And they're, when the Aesop's are realistically fighting for what they believe. No, that's what they're actually doing. They're fighting for a country. And though they know have to go up against Ruby, who you want to call that training, and basically all that really happened from was that which it wasn't in my opinion. You should have stretched this out more than one volume, Rooster Teeth, but. Had they wanted to really do a training arc, you got to really show more to it. Like add more into that rather than just little scenes that we don't even know the period of days they trained.
Supposedly, it was
I mean, like,
supposedly.
Really?
Apparently.
It didn't feel like a month.
Yeah, it felt like at most 5 days.
Yeah, like,
because I counted the number of times they woke up and did shit and went to bed. I counted 5 at most.
So what? That was like one for each week. So
guess?
you can just stay awake for the entire week and go to bed.
Like, for every scene that they appeared in was
itself wouldn't be enough to keep them up to the experience. Well, I mean, even a week wouldn't even experience what the Aesop's supposedly had been let on.
Yeah, like that.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, like, my point is like, as opposed to somebody who's the best in all of Atlas, now you're taking into accordance an entire academy, you have a military force, which they are a part of, and they are the top of the top. So you wouldn't just have Rwby, who, their team still, if you want to consider where low, they would still be in training. They wouldn't be, like professionals yet, because even though they were boosted professionals because they were given the license, that doesn't make them on the or of a professional.
Exactly.
They would need more training to really be there. A week is not going to put you at the level of someone who is at the top of an entire country. Like that's not possible. That's ridiculous. Like even a month still wouldn't put you at the top of that country. You would have to take a long period of time, and even then, with them also training as well, they're getting better too. So the Aesop's would also be improving. They would be learning as well. Experience, they would still continue to add to that experience, add to learning, fight better. So really, Rwby should never have won that fight. It doesn't accumulate to what the Aesop's experience level is, as well as the combat that supposedly, like I said, that they were built up to. It doesn't add up. And, they just within a week, a month, however long that in a month, that still would never equal them getting to being as good as the Aesop's. It's just not possible.
Yeah, like unless like Ruby discovered some crazy weaknesses that Team Ruby could avoid, which again I highly doubt, and is kind of dumb because then it's like, oh, the realize the weaknesses of Team Ruby too, you know?
They did create some gaps that they then exploited. The Aesop's, if anything, I would not say that Team Ruby got to the level of the Aesop's. I would say actually the Aesop's got down to Team Ruby's level. The very first thing that happened in that fight, and like mind you, if you look at the fight and you see what happens, it's not like none of it makes sense how they were beaten. They show you how they got beat. It was always more of a overarching thing of why did the Aesop's allow themselves to be beat. You don't do some of the things that the Aesop's did if you are trying to be like tactically superior to a whole nother team of people. For one thing, when Ruby decided to basically lure Harriet off, that Harriet should not have been lured off. She was stuck. Done. Yeah, she should have stuck next to her team, being like, I guess it's 4 versus 3 now. Like, and then she could have taken on the numerically inferior all together while sticking together, and rather and just hunted down Ruby afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, falling for that bait was a very, very poor decision for her to do, and that was why it was what led to her getting beaten. So, like, logically, within the context of the fight, it makes sense. With the character, she's been working with this team for a very long time, and they're supposed to be an elite fighting force. Who better than to do that? But she didn't. Like,
it was so dumb.
Romero with the sympathize. Go
yeah, like with like, even though it's dumb, you can at least understand what, like, how White could have beaten him, because like you seem to get the impression that like Maro is holding back because he doesn't want to fight, you know, Team Ruby, or at least that's the impression he gives off. You know?
And the fact that he has to 1v1 Weiss is
and like apparently and apparently he's like the rookie of the group. Yeah. Out of all of them, he's like the newest kid on the block. So like he doesn't have as much experience as, let's say, Harriet or even Clover. So like at least with Maro, like, while I think it should have been done differently, like I can at least understand why he got beaten, but you know? Yeah, I mean, like me personally, I would have had it to be like just where Mara relies too much on his semblance. She can time dilate, like she like can essentially nullify his semblance. That's what I would have done. But
she did nullify his semblance. Well, she didn't really nullify it. She worked around it. It's directional is the thing, but the thing with she just had the ability to do anything from any direction, and she can attack from multiple sides. So, like, his semblance, he was in just a really poor match. Like, honestly, like, the Weiss just took advantage of what she had over him, which was a lot, because admittedly, Weiss has a lot over a lot of people. Like,
there's,
you know, it was just, he situation from the outset. So I get why he specifically got kind of the shit beaten out of him.
Yeah.
They sort of, if anything, Maro would have had a better matchup, and I say he could have soloed Blake and Yang together, because he had seen that they both work together very dependently on each other. So if I had been him, instead of taking on Weiss, I would have gone after. I would have told fucking Vine and Elm to take on Weiss by themselves and let me handle Yang and Blake. I had seen how they were operating. What I would have done is I would have split them off from me so that they couldn't capitalize on the maneuvers that they have to use each other for. And I would have just, like, basically, given the fact that he has a ranged weapon that can actually be used at range, unlike Yang's shotguns that she has to get up close with, I would have just, until she got taken out. And then with Blake is pathetic on her own. If she tries to solo anyone, she gets pretty easily just dunked on. Like,
Yeah.
and like, so, like, if that was me, and I knew that those two had this glaring weakness that could be exploited by splitting them up, I would have advised my team to that. Like, and, you know, Weiss I probably would have left for last. If anything, I think kicking them off one by one would have been a good way to go about things, because they did deliberately split off from me, which is not a good way to go about it. So they split off, you stay together, you surround the one that has stayed behind in that area instead of having your off as well, and then you take that dude out. Like, and then you move on to the next one, and so on and so forth. Like, maybe a couple of them would escape, like,
No problems there.
but, like, you would almost certainly at least get, and if you get one of them, you can use them as a hostage, you can use them to gather, you can use them for all sorts of things. That the Aesops were making glaring tactical mistakes during that whole fight meant that they were not experienced at fighting people as they were claimed to. Like,
Yeah. And
so yeah, I'm not going to say that they overpowered. Say that they underpowered the Aesops for it. Like,
They were the nerf.
yeah.
Why?
yeah, like I absolutely hate the Huntsman as a concept, and the fact that the entire world went with it, other than Atlas, and just demilitarized everything, makes no goddamn sense when, you know, the Huntsmen by proxy are just a third-party mercenary group. So if another country wanted to invade another country anytime before before the actual show happened, they could have just paid off the Huntsmen back then and say, "Hey, Huntsmen, don't attack us when we invade your country." And the Huntsmen will be like, "Okay." So then, how do you establish that these people are loyal to the state? Like how, like, it's one of the reasons why I love Atlas more than any of the other countries, because they actually have the Huntsmen loyal to the state by integrating the Huntsmen as Grimm's special forces.
Yeah. Then again, like, they really messed up a lot with Harry and the Huntsman and shit as a whole, so.
Well, I have written rants and reviews about the Atlas military on r/Rubicus, but of course those get taken down except for one, which is talking about the weaponry. But again, I just get told, "Hey, fuck off, fuck off." When has bullet physics ever been a thing in Ruby and like shit like that? Because let's be honest, a 50 caliber BMG should have blown a large ass hole into the Goliath Grimm's heads. I don't give a damn how much armor there is. It should, if you wanted it to be a actual threat, they have the technology to actually make cracks onto the armor. So instead of bullets bouncing off the elephant grim, why not have it that every time Ruby hits the elephant grim, their armor cracks. And so Ruby has to keep on hitting that specific area, or have everyone focus fire on that specific area that Ruby has cracked, to eventually get to whatever weakness there is underneath the armor. Like, it's
That's
not
why
that
I
hard.
love that. I love that concept of hyperburst technology, like you get with that Metal Storm, the G11, like where you have a weapon that fires so rapidly that the second bullet hits in basically the same place as the first, and so armor basically is like, whereas it would be effective usually against something like that, you have essentially rendered it totally useless, because even like fucking sappy plates and ceramic stuff like that just gets eviscerated by something like that. That's so cool to me, and I wish more things would incorporate that into the. There's not a whole lot of sci-fi stuff that uses that technology. I think it's. I loved that one thing in Black Ops 2 that you could use in that one mission. That's like the sniper that can basically penetrate through any object. The metal tech.
It like had a delayed munition within the actual projectile. So like the actual projectile would cause enough damage to the armor that the explosive round within it would cause damage.
No. Here's how it works, man. There is no delayed munition within the projectile. The bullet is just a normal, everyday bullet. The thing of it is, it fires so fast that right as the first bullet leaves the barrel in this burst, the next bullet is fired before any muzzle climb or anything affecting the aim can actually take place on the weapon. And so, essentially, every bullet in this burst hits almost the exact same spot. And I don't mean like fucking pretty close. I'm talking like, within the space of maybe a quarter at most. Like, and so the part of the armor that the first bullet hits, it gets maybe like dented by it. And the second bullet hits it, and it busts through that dent because the metal has been fatigued by it. And then the third one hits, and it's going through that hole. And then in like a Metal Storm thing, like you can depending on the length of the barrel, the way that works is it's actually faster than the G11's burst. That is like, there is no extraction or cycling or any rejection. It's basically a muzzle-loaded thing that's just stacked up with multiple rounds in it that are all fired electric. So the first thing gets the powder gets ignited by the electrical primer that is just like a circuit that runs through the whole thing, sets it off, and then sets off the other one immediately afterwards with no cyclic rate of fire that's necessary. And so it's really, really high rate of fire, to the point that like every shot that comes out of a single barrel sounds like it's just one shot. Like there might be a little bit of a rumble to it, like or crackle to that shot that makes you realize that it's multiple, but it's that fast. So essentially you're firing 5 or 10 bullets in the same time as you would fire a single one.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, and that's the sort of technology that is known colloquially as hyperburst. And there, AN-94, the experimental Russian assault rifle was a 2-round hyperburst thing. The main goal of it is to fire off both rounds within one single impulse of recoil so that they both hit basically the same spot, essentially making for what is the same thing as a semi-automatic shot, but closer in effective, say, like a shotgun, but with much longer range and stuff like that.
Huh.
And also, like, the penetrative capabilities of it. It's a really awesome thing that nobody decided to actually, like, fully capitalize on, because it is expensive, But it's cool as fucking shit, and I hope one day it gets somehow implemented in things. And I think with Ruby's advanced level of technology, they could implement something like that.
Yeah. Like, just imagine a Goliath, like that Mammoth Grim, getting hit by something like that, but from like a 20mm cannon.
Oh yeah, that would be crazy.
It would not only be crazy, but it would also, like, just imagine that as a basic turret defense. Just as a point defense gun alone.
Oh, I researched. I found a new thing. Apparently, the Swedes have come out with this really awesome AAA gun that. So, like, we've for our missile defense systems, we've been using like Gauss miniguns with like 20mm in them. The Swedes came up. It's a 20mm cannon, single fire cannon, but the thing of it is that it's linked to this super accurate computer system to where instead of having to spray multiple rounds at a missile to shoot it out of the sky so it can't hit, it can literally just fire a single shot, and it's so accurate it can take a missile out in one hit. Same with like an airplane or some shit. It's really cool, and they can put it in place on their ships, and they have it attached to some tracked vehicles.
Oh, jeez. And, well, going back to the original topic again, like, everyone, like, has anyone seen Civil War?
Yeah.
You mean the movie?
Yeah, the movie. Or at the very least, read something Civil War related to Marvel. Or in the context of Marvel. Like the comics, the,
I've read Civil War 2.
I mean, do you mean I've seen the Civil War movie. It's a good movie. I've also
like remember how like Captain America was highly against the fact that he was being ordered to not help people just because of collateral damage to shit?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I remember when he was ordered to bring Bucky in for questioning, and yet he didn't, because Captain America knew that it wasn't Bucky who actually killed Iron Man's parents and shit.
Well,
Like,
technically it was just he was
just a
mind
clone.
controlled.
Well, mind control plus wasn't it also because of a clone?
Well, yeah, in the original story, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like, that was Cap going against orders that were wrong morally, in a sense, because, like, he's being ordered to by a government to give up his rights to help people and to essentially have more government control of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, he didn't like it one bit because it was against what he fought for back in Germany.
Well, it was like, you don't need a government to tell you to save someone, you just do it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like, that's an...
And it was not selfish, despite what other people seem to think.
Yeah. Yeah, like, it's just amazing how all these other franchises could do the same thing so very easily, yet somehow Ruby's writers are this incompetent. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, they're smart enough to copy shit from anime that have people recognize which anime it's from, apparently.
Mm-hmm. Right, and I can't even do that well enough.
Yeah. Oh yeah, remember Floof, basically showing side-by-side comparison of the Volume 7 anime, Volume 7, opening and the one of the fucking My Hero Academia openings?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you can obviously tell they lifted it the exact same style. Like, they're not even trying to hide it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the first time they've ripped off My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not really that much of a surprise, honestly. Oh, hey, Jacko.
Wait, did Draco leave?
He came back. I think he was having some problems with his internet.
Can you hear us, Nick?
Yeah,
Alright.
okay.
Anyway, we were talking about the Civil War and how we northern aggression and finally lost lands of Dixie.
That is not what we are talking about. Do I have to pull Senior Lance on you to make sure you get your history correct?
I remember that everything was glorious until the northern aggressors attacked.
Oh, you southern bastard! You believe in slavery, don't you?
I mean, I'm wondering when we're going to get the cat girls genetically altered so we can enslave them.
I thought we were going to use them as whores.
I heard this statement on Twitter somewhere.
That's Elon Musk's thing. He's
Oh, okay. I was like, I feel like I've heard this somewhere.
Like, oh, I remember seeing a meme about cat girls, like, we have the research, we just don't have the funding. And then it was Skipper slapping Private saying, "Don't give me excuses, give me results."
God, I love that scene from Madagascar.
I think the thing about it is, in order to have something for domestic genetics and then work the human stuff into them to the point where it's just
Like there would be experimentation in it.
yeah. You
Works.
You couldn't start off with a human cat ears onto them in order to be able to own them legally.
And this is how you get fun as discrimination.
Oh, funny enough, me and a group of writers who wrote a Christmas special, we literally wrote, like, oh, Elon... Huh, I wonder if Elon Musk had something to do with creating the faunus because of his cat girl experiments. It was hilarious. And glorious. You would have loved it, Morty. I mean, we literally wrote it out. Morty. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of sad, all the potential Ruby is just squandered.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
the thing of it is that, you know, start, I mean, I understand that, you know, you're going to have a slow start, but I get it. And, you know, some shows start off really well in the beginning, and some shows have not much going for them. But sometimes the writing can improve, and then at Ruby. And that's the thing. So you can't really say like what would have happened had Monty been alive. You know, we don't. But I mean, there are some degrees I do think that
snipers.
there are some degrees that I do think though that it could have been better because like I said, there are just some things that I think that he understood better than that are writing the show now, obviously.
Exciting, that's for sure. It wouldn't have. A lot of things with it are just that it's gotten like super boring, and Monty at the very least would have put in the work, especially like during Volume 5, to give us some cool fight scenes and stuff. Like, we don't have nearly as many per volume as we used to have.
Yeah, and that was when Ruby had a very low budget too, and yet they still managed to pull off a lot of fight scenes. And yet now they barely struggle to put 3 into a single season, if it's not against Grimm.
That's the other thing. Yeah, I was about to say, if you pay close attention, there are less fight scenes now. It's like the ratio of fight scenes are just getting lower and lower with the volume. Just you're getting less. Like nowadays, like I was even told this because you know I haven't really looked up this stuff as. Like it's typically like some Tumblr artists, or you know there are still some that hold on to hope for the series, but which is true. Kind of tells you the whole popularity to it's dwindling as well.
Yeah. Eventually become a cult thing. If even that.
Bad. Ruby couldn't have been like The Room. The Room. I watch that movie once every year. So bad, it's good.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta steer into it.
That's the thing, though. Had Ruby just been able to be as good as, as good as the Room, if it could have been like so bad that it was actually good, like hilarious, you know, these problems wouldn't be surfacing. I don't think like it's not the case. Although, you know, there are some comedic things people.
Yeah.
The jokes are real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my. Alright, just a fan. You have watched FM Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, right?
Yeah.
What can you tell to the audience about the following of orders that Fullmetal Alchemist brings out?
Okay, so in Fullmetal Alchemist, it's established that a couple of years before the series began, the country of Amistras was in a civil war. It was in a war with Ishvar. And essentially what happened was that basically King Bradley got so fed up with how long the war was taking, he basically went, okay, right, just send in the state alchemist to essentially basically order 66 all the Ishvaland, essentially.
Very descriptive.
Which was done very good.
Yeah. In a scene, and I remember this because it was my first time reading the manga, by the way, and I remember there being a scene where, like, I think it was he was basically the leader of the Ishvalian people, and he basically like came and said, I want to give peace, like, I want to offer up my life in exchange for my people, and Mace Hughes, like, basically, I'll let me just speak to my commanding officer. And of course the commanding officer, who was like, no, we're not going to bring him over, like, we're going to kill him, and then we're going to kill every Ishvalan. And then what happened, I can't remember who it was who shot him. I think it was Mace Hughes, actually, who shot him. It was like Mace Hughes basically shoots him, and everyone says, oh, he must have been killed by a stray, you know?
Mhm.
And even when they do take him to King Bradley, he doesn't stop the massacre. Instead, he continues it. And basically, says, oh, if God is so mad at me, he will strike me down now. Which actually comes to bite him in the arse later. I'm not going to spoil it, but everyone who's seen Full Metal Alchemist knows what I'm talking about.
And if you look at, like, honestly, it's not a spoiler at this point. The damn thing's been out for a long ass time. But it's your own damn fault. Okay? Fucking God is real in Full Metal Alchemist, Bradley over, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. But basically, like, everyone in the Amestrian army is essentially ordered to Order 66. The Ishvalan people, and even people who don't want to do it, like General Armstrong, he actually tries to save a couple of them, but unfortunately, Kimberly gets to them first, and well, anyone who knows.
Kimberly's like a real cool dude. Always liked that guy.
Yeah, he's a psychopath, but he's shit, like, how do I explain it? He's like a psychopath.
He's
Yeah.
like a he's a man, basically.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
It's that there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also his dub.
Fuck.
Oh,
One of the
yeah.
best dubs out there.
Vic Mignogna.
Mignogna.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that along with Black Lagoon is like, you know, are like the only two shows I like. That, Black Lagoon, and Cowboy, only three shows I will watch in dub. Not sub, just the dub.
I would also watch in dub, actually. One more I would add to that.
Yeah, because like I listen to them in dub. I don't listen to the sub. I can't.
There's one where I can listen to this dub, Code Geass.
And the,
I, Lucy Britannia, command you! All of you, die!
Okay, they all pull out their pistols and shoot themselves in the face.
God, I fucking love
What the
Johnny
best part is
Youngboy.
they smile. They smile when they do it too.
Yes, my lord.
I
We will
mean,
execute
like,
Order 66 on ourselves.
yeah, they've got like, well, there are some other things that you can't listen to sub for different reasons. Like for instance, no Western fan of Dragon Ball will ever listen
Done it.
for just because of Goku's Japanese voice actor. If you
What's
if you want
crazy?
Being a
After
woman.
watching, this is going to be a weird thought. After watching Abridged so much, 'cause I love Abridged, and they ended it.
Yeah.
But it's funny because it's like after Masako X, doing Goku, it's weird, but it's gotten me so like familiar with the voice actors for Goku in Japan, and I'm just like, you know what? It still works. It's weird. That probably sounds extremely strange. Like, just I don't know. It's like it gave me more of an appreciation.
Yeah. Especially considering she's like, what, 80 now? She can still do those. Bloody hell, woman.
She can still do the screams, apparently.
it still just sounds annoying as fuck to me. I don't dig it.
I'll tell you who sounds weird to me though, no matter what, is the sub Krillin. Sounds like a child. It's just, I always can't get over it because I'm just like, I know you're a little on the short side, but like, damn, why do you make me think you're a kid?
I don't know, like, I've gotten so used to abridged Krillin that I can't listen to his original dubbed voice actor
Neither can I.
anymore.
Neither
It's
can
like,
I,
I'm
you're not the only one. Sunny Straight.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, but I can't listen to him as Krillin.
Because like every single time I just think about like a bridge Krill and then I just laugh.
Have you guys? Have you guys
Pathetic,
happened?
but he gets the girl in the end.
He gets the best girl in the opinion.
Yeah.
Have you
Oh, by
guys?
the way, have you seen the shorts with Android 18 and Krillin?
I love that one. It's so good.
Speaking of like the abridged and in kind of the same vein as Ruby, have you guys actually checked out Weasel Crust?
Not.
Who?
It's Diesel Dust, but I call it Weasel Crust because I think it's funnier.
Wait, isn't that show? Oh, show Team 4 Star doing?
Yeah,
Oh,
Haven't gotten
that
to see
one.
it. Oh, I know
It's
which one you're
good.
talking about. Yeah, I haven't gotten to see that yet. I've wanted to. That's what happens when you don't have any time. But
yeah. The
Free time.
pilot is out for it, and I was just I don't really know what to think about it yet. Honestly, I'd have to see more of it because
It's you know.
the animation's not good. That's like right off the bat. But you should expect that from an indie thing that kind of has to go on like a super shoestring budget. But like, as far as the acting seems okay. I mean, which it's Team 4 Star, so I expected that. And like, I don't know about the story yet because
just started.
really gotten. Yeah, they've only just started, so I have to kind of wait on that. But like, I think I will probably check it out as it develops, which who knows how long that'll take.
That's potential to make.
Yeah.
I will never call it anything other than Weasel Crust, even if it's absolute genius, though. Just because I think Weasel Crust is a better name. Should have fucking went with that.
Oh, I bet Team 4 Star are just quaking in the boots that they were of regret.
But knowing them, they're just glad they're not Rooster Teeth.
Yeah. They're unfortunately under the thumb of Funimation because in order for them to even make any dime off of any of their abridged shit, they have to bow down to a corporate overlord in order to Funimation. Because,
They have the rights to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's better than people going around and stealing stuff, though. Mr. Teeth.
Oh, I see you've gotten a naughty case of hay fever, Draco.
I've just got
I
a
know.
nasty case of Rooster Teeth's theft.
Ah, I see. I see. It's very similar to hay fever, except it only what the theft is mentioned. What a terrible disease.
Exactly. Speaking of which, because I've got one video completely edited for tonight, because I'm gonna have like a lot. I've also got the Q&A to do. I've been while I've been talking with you with this live stream, videos, and I'll say this though, I'll be having fun, Rose.
And I cannot wait to watch.
Because I'm gonna have fun talking about McLean getting canceled. Because I've read it. It's bad.
Yep.
I can
They
say it.
It's
It's
horrible.
it's very bad.
I don't only like it
Yeah.
because it's just not canon, Ruby.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, here's the thing. Like at this point, you get being so flexible because they've retconned literally everything under. You could say that a flying pig in Ruby is canon. Like, and then the next thing you know, they'll rewrite.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy.
I'm just saying that's.
Your mic's going in and out, man.
Hold on. Okay, is everything sound better now?
Yeah, like you just.
Yep.
It sounded like your mic popped or something, and then just stopped working for a few seconds.
Oh yeah, that's probably because this thing's old. This mic, I need to replace it. I think it's been working as long as it has, though. I appreciate that much. This hasn't died out. To work on getting the better one, though. I will.
With everything going on right now, right? I'm sure
As
no one
long
will.
as you can understand what you're saying is
Yeah.
and you can say things into it, and it can make the noisy.
Yeah. So I've been trying to like improve the quality of videos and whatnot. Been trying to get better at it. Working at that. Like a big thing I've been working on. Like that's like one of the biggest things.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I've been trying to like use better like better software also to make the articles whenever I have them up and everything look better instead of them making they used to. Been working better at that. Getting a little bit better.
That's good.
Also, I had to go to Bleeding Cool for an article for a change, and I don't like that because I hate Bleeding Cool.
Ah, yes.
It was
Why bleed cool when you can bleed hot? Am I right?
but yeah, Bleeding Cool. They
Isn't cool. At least from the one. Like, just ask any Japanese student. Bleeding isn't cool.
Mm.
Oh shit! None of you got the joke, did you?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Let's just say Let's just say that self-harm in Japan is
Oh yeah, you mean the suicide rate?
Yeah, sorry, that was dark even for me.
I get you. I get what you're saying now.
Who's got a higher one? Is it Japanese people or transsexuals?
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, you thought it was as dark as it could get. Me, Coop.
Oh, you. Oh, us and our Marine Corps dark humor.
I think you mean British dark humor, because we can get pretty dark.
British have good humor. Love it.
Yeah, I've always
Yeah.
liked the dry wit type thing for some reason.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's why I've always told people, like if you're going to watch The Office, just watch the BBC version. That's the good version.
Yeah, back in the good day. Although I will admit that one scene with the whole fire department, like when everyone thinks there's a fire going on, that was a good moment. I will admit that.
Like I don't know. Like I get that there's a lot of people out there like The American Office. I'm not saying I don't find it as fun.
Yeah, because like the thing is with the American Office is that it misses the point of the Office, and it's basically everyone is miserable. The Office is meant to be a depressing piece of shit, you know.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny because it kind of feels like when you're really working. I don't know.
No, like that's the thing with British shows in general is that like when you think about it, they're always very, very depressing. So, for example, Blackadder, like one of my favorite, this is one of my favorite episodes. But basically, they have to find a German spy because they believe that there's they believe that there's a spy amongst the ranks, and the guys they end up believing that it's a nurse, and they essentially send her off to get executed because Blackadder takes place in World War One. Yes, and then it turns out, like just coming from command, there was like a mistake. And what actually if I remember correctly, what actually happened was that they ended up sending like the wrong shit to the wrong place by accident. And then it turns out there is no traitor. and the guys have just sent an innocent woman off to be executed.
Oh,
So they
boy.
literally, and it literally ends, and the episode literally ends with them running, trying to get to the transportation before the woman is executed. Although that's not as depressing as like the finale, where it's literally just all the men just going over the wall.
Yeah.
It-
Yeah, Blackadder was pretty.
It was
Yeah.
dark.
Yeah, it got like that. It was funny as hell. I think a lot of people didn't like the first season of it, and so that's why they changed around the stuff. But I actually also liked the first season.
Yeah, I think with the first season, it's good, but like if you compare it to like the later seasons, it's not as good. Like if you get what I mean.
Well,
It's
yeah,
better.
I mean, yeah. Well, it's just that they change around how the main character of Blackadder works.
Yeah, yeah, true that. Yeah, that's
so they start him off as just being a sort of like oddly lucky idiot, and then they actually flip the script entirely. He's the smartest guy on the show, but he's constantly fucking shit out of luck when it comes to stuff.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Jeez.
We have strayed so far from the original topic.
Really, really good.
Eh.
Well, if by good you mean it had terrible art that included but not limited to Ruby having two right hands, if I'm remembering correctly,
Yep.
Taeyang missing a part of his thigh, and Ruby looking like something out of Conan the Barbarian.
Don't forget potatoes.
Oh yeah, the potato. Oh yeah, and potato mommy.
God. Why?
And then you have Raven just acting like a crazy.
She's literally a Karen.
Hmm.
Ugh.
Remember when Raven had a whole spiel to Ruby about how, oh, you think your mother is so much better than I am speech? Oh dear God, I hated that so much.
Mm-hmm.
That was Karen.
Like, at least they kept one thing from in continuity.
Raven's a
being
bitch.
well, not only a bitch, but a Karen, because she literally bitched at Ruby, a little 5-year-old girl, about how Summer Rose was not a good mother, and yet she somehow is.
I think we're getting to the point to where even at least has some good writing.
Some, not a lot.
At least she's able to call out Ruby on shit.
Yeah.
See that, Raven? Everybody gets one. You got yours. You're calling Ruby out on her shit.
Even
I'll
a
give you that.
couple fight 2 times a day.
Yang sitting over
Even
here
a
trying not even to understand her mother or why she even left, and then just bitches her out. I'm like, wow, you're worse than your mom.
Yeah, we don't even do we even know why Raven left?
It's because she was afraid.
Yeah.
Really?
That was the reason. That was the reason they gave at the end of Volume 5. She did.
That's fucking weird.
Could be logic.
Oh, Igmil left Nazi for like 10 fucking years, and the reason he gave was, well, I was trying to save your ass from becoming a dragon.
At least he knew the consequences of, Dragon Slayer.
Like,
yeah.
I think like they didn't do much with Raven that would have been good if Raven had kind of like tried to tempt Yang away.
She tried and epically failed because she just couldn't get her words right.
Well, yeah, but like in a better way. Like if she had instead of acting like she didn't give a shit about Yang, which she didn't, it would have been cool is if that she actually wanted to take Yang with her when she went off. Like, she wasn't trying to abandon her, but they wouldn't let her take her. And that she actually did love her daughter, but she just wasn't allowed to get her out of the situation, and she couldn't find some way to do it. And so she left on her own, and she actually felt bad about it. That would be to do it. Like, if you tell somebody that you actually did love them the whole time, and that would make sense as to why she protected her in Volume 2. She would be like, yeah, I don't want my daughter to get killed. But I also don't want to be involved with the Ozpin stuff. So, Yang, like, just come over, stay with me. Let's not fucking deal with this shit. I'll love you and hug you and give you mommy hugs. Would have been a good way to
stay back.
Okay, somebody doesn't understand. Oh, okay, I gotta bring this up. Somebody does not understand what cancellation. Because one person on Twitter goes, "How could they cancel the Rwby DC comic if the comics are cancel a physical printing due to the global pandemic?" Canceling a line of digital comics, making them physical for physical press, that's cancellation. That's what that means. Well, that's kind of funny that they don't understand what cancellation. They're canceling the physical lines. That's what this is. The comic may be finished, that the physical books are not being printed, therefore they're canceling the physical line. That's what that means.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then again, like, the shows are idiots. And numpties.
Like points like, what's this website? He doesn't give.
Couldn't hear you that time, Jocko. You cut out.
I'm trying to see the article where he's like the person. They have this article. Have a link or anything. This looks like, if I had to guess, Deadline, but I don't know. This is not one that I had. Like, this is not any of the articles I went through. But yeah, this. How are people saying this is the COVID-19 situation? That's not what this is.
Pretty sure the economy was reopened.
Yes, yes. Like, they're printing books again, and yes. Like, what? I've made videos on this talking about how they're going to get them back out. It didn't stop. You're an idiot. This person's an idiot. Like, gotta be kidding.
So wait, someone believes that because the digital version is still out there, and that because the physical version is the only thing that's being discontinued, is that it's somehow still live. Even though that's just how shit is, even when it comes to video games, because hell, I could go online and buy an original Xbox copy of Halo 2 for like $5, despite the actual production of the damn game being discontinued.
Yeah, that's the same way I bought Valkyria Chronicles, first Valkyria.
Okay, this statement is bullshit. I know it right here. One person was responding going, "I know, I waited months for my comic shop to reopen and got greeted with this news." I'm gonna claim bullshit. I'm gonna claim bullshit to that one. Because comic stores, there's not very many of them left, sadly. It's sad. Because the industry itself has been dying because of, publishing terrible SJW comic. I don't believe this person. I don't buy it. People, like, the SJWs don't support what they scream about. I don't believe this statement. I not believe it. Believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially since these people, they don't really, like...
Usually, no. They just want it to be that way. They don't want to actually pay for it themselves. And
If it was free, yeah, they would be dying.
Yeah, because capitalism is bad, okay?
Now, right, Unicorn War.
I'm not sure it's a capitalism thing. I'm pretty sure it's probably just a paycheck thing with most of them. I'm not sure that they're raking in enough dough to where they can spend money on, like, they actually like, even if they wanted to.
Here, hold on. I'm gonna pull up something. I can't get it up. I'm gonna pull up the art. I have a couple of them. Those are beating. Ugh. Okay, so let's see here. Rich Johnson. Okay. Let me look here. Okay, here it is. This is it. Oh, let's look at the gallery. I'm gonna say. God bless you. What they were saying, yeah, no problem. They were saying was DC has canceled print editions of Rwby issue 7 and Genlock issue 7, the final issues of the 2 digital first series done in tandem with Rooster Teeth. Prior to the virus influenced shutdown of DC's distribution channels, these 2 print issues were solicited to arrive April 8th and May 6th. The contents of those issues, well, yeah, because by that time they had already shut delivering comics. So, which the contents of those issues premiered digitally earlier in the year, the publisher does not intend for the story eventually collected editions of both. Okay. Interesting. Like, the thing of it is that it's it's like I said, if they cancel the print, it's the print line, and it's just what people need to understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think that this person understands what canceling means.
Or at least he doesn't understand, or maybe he does understand it, he's just in denial of it.
That could be a possibility. I mean,
yeah.
Hell. Just look at people thinking that Rooster Teeth will still be around.
Honest, they're gonna be lucky if they're around for the next 2 years.
This person's actually correct here. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's okay, mate.
I was just gonna say this person tweeted and pointed out. Happened is DC canceled the print of the final issue of the Rwby and Genlock comic. It was put on delay because of the pandemic. It happened with almost every comic. Say it will still be available digitally, not to mention trade paperback. See what's correct about that is it will be available digitally. Now trade paperback, we have yet to see that because that's the only thing that about what they're saying is off. But like that is they're correct about how that works because it was delayed. This person is completely wrong that it wasn't because of the pandemic. It was delayed, that's accurate. It was delayed. But this person to say that that the physical run is canceled because of the pandemic, I'm like, I don't think you read that right. There was a lot of comics that were delayed because of the pandemic. The whole hashtag pencils down, there was a reason, and there's a reason why people don't feel bad about that. The industry's, been murdering itself.
Yeah.
And then like there's a bunch of there's a lot of people that are like talking about it. Oh man, of course.
Yeah. I thought that the Genlock comic was out.
It is, or has been, rather.
Stay back, stay back,
And-
stay back. Dear God.
Here's the thing. It's not successful though.
Genlock
Well, clearly,
has
because I haven't seen Adele or anyone else talk about it.
I talked about it. I came up with the name Chase Black. I thought it was very funny.
I mean, considering what's happened, it's just a really cool joke now.
Do you support this series?
I support Genlock for the same reason that I support Weasel Crust. It is because I came up with something funny in regards to it, and I want to keep talking about it and making jokes on it.
Like any drill instructor, like any future drill instructor would when they talk to an inferior pleb of a recruit.
What in the world? How does this? Okay. I'm not even. I'm gonna ignore I saw that. Oh, some of these people, man. There was one that was just really weird that was associated with all of this. Person brought up how they were talking about like the Rwby comic. And they were like, "Yeah, I had a comic. It was commissioned, and it was a Futa comic." And I'm like, "All right."
Enough said there. I wonder if it was because of the schneeness. Justified, I'm sure you've heard of it, correct?
Heard of what?
The schneeness?
Oh, yes.
Wait. Doesn't make any sense. One person goes, "Great job. I haven't been able to find much Ruby Breath of the Wild content anywhere." What? What?
Maybe they're just joking because of how much of the
Sorry.
wild we've seen of Ruby. As in, like, the wilderness and shit like that.
I'm
Or maybe someone just found a really cool Legend of Zelda Ruby crossover.
Funny enough, like, hey Draco, have you ever taken a look at those links I sent you?
links.
The
Let me look.
links like the links in the private DMs?
Yeah, let me look and I'll
Yeah, that guy. He would hate the fact that that Ruby Zelda comic was
Oh.
true.
Okay, yeah. I did see that earlier when you sent them, yeah.
Yep. But yeah,
This is like, man, like I said, I'm just enjoying like looking at some of these people get like really upset over this. Person,
Just
hold up,
endorse
is the last print.
for the stupidity that is the Ruby fandom.
One person just goes, "Hold up, is the last print issue of Ruby comic?"
Yes.
what?
Yeah,
I'm just confused at the
Hey,
fact you didn't finish that sentence. Like
this
like-
person goes, "What?" Person goes, "Watching," or sorry, okay, there it is. Hold up, is the last print issue of the Ruby comic?
you
that
cut
was
out
what
there,
that
Draco.
I did again.
Yeah, you did.
Hmm.
And these two fucking hunters won't die.
Okay,
Just kill them, bro.
Am I good now?
Yeah, you good.
Better?
Yeah, you sound good.
This person's tweet was of the Ruby comic really canceled for now. Or they're questioning it. You have multiple
Just
sources.
ask. Like, just ask. I don't. Just ask. Like, it says it's cancelled. What do you think?
I mean, even DC Comic Report have it. It comes directly from them, which is DC. Oh, telling you, if DC themselves say it's canceled, that means it's canceled. boy.
I'm just surprised
You
the
gotta
comic book
love
lasted this
how-
long as it did. I'll be honest.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta love how in denial, though, like, RT and the rest of the fandom seem to be about this.
Yeah.
It's like they don't want to believe that their precious little comic book is dead, because if they do, they have to acknowledge that Ruby is shit.
Hey, I know this person is lying. Like, this person's lying right here. Very annoyed the last physical issue of Ruby seems to have been canned, given all the other DC stuff I follow seems to be picking back up without missing a beat. Especially when I got into the show itself out of curiosity about the comic.
I'm sorry I do
Ooh.
not follow that train of thought.
Ooh, she's gonna be so when she after Volume 3.
Yeah, like I'm just kind of like looking at this like. Oh man, it's funny to me. Oh man, I bet you're right here. This person is a. Oh, that was May 7th. Okay, never mind. That was a while ago. Never mind. I was gonna say, oh man, I was like, oh great, that's not good because it was a She-Ra fan, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
During the She-Ra fans have been jumping into Ruby now, and
That's rather sad
Yeah.
because they just got them because the Bumblebee fans baited them in because of lesbians.
And the fact that they had a cat girl.
Yeah.
How kind of creepy it is that, like, that these people seem to be obsessed with 14-year-old lesbians, but apparently Catra's 14 or something.
No, in the show, Adora's also 14. Supposed, or as far as I know, the Netflix show, but even yet, it's just a far cry. I mean,
Yeah, but
I
isn't
never
it kind of disturbing that, like, that these fans are, like, kind of frothing over, like,
These are
lesbians
probably
getting together?
These are probably SJWs that grew up with the She-Ra fandom and just didn't get their lesbian itch scratched.
Yeah. Also, another quick question. So, like, do Adora and like grow up or something? Like, do they get past it?
In
Is it 14 or
1980s, in the 1980s,
Oh, I meant in the Netflix show.
I don't know. I don't watch it. I only heard horror stories
I've-
from my mom and sister who were big She-Ra fans of the 1980s cartoon, and I only know of the 1980s cartoon because they've been watching that nonstop ever since my mother got the entire series for her birthday, like 2 years ago.
Shit.
Yeah, so they're both diehard fans, and well, when they started ordering the DVDs from Netflix, let's just say I heard a lot of shrieks of horror from what they've done to their baby. Apparently,
Well,
especially when it came to the Catra shit. Because like
Yeah.
Catra is supposed to be like an unforgiving, unrepentant bitch who is trying to kill Dora because she was a higher rank than her and was favored by Hordak.
that's actually what she is in the show too. But there's the thing of it is that like the
Oh,
so I mean like you cool with like spoilers or whatever? Or,
I
yeah, I'm not
honestly
gonna watch
care.
that shit show.
well, so I watched it all the way through, and I will actually say the first 4 seasons, if you don't base it like off of the original She-Ra, which I have also seen some of, I'm not like a huge fan of that or anything, but if you just take it like on its own, it was done pretty well for the first 4 seasons, and admittedly they did bring in a guy to help them do that. And he may have been mostly responsible for a lot of that. But with the 5th season, it would have, under my opinion, to the point where they did not capitalize on this stuff too well and sort of kind of pandered to a certain thing that had admittedly set up from the start very, I would say, not well or realistically or good, but like basically just that the entire thing with Katra and Adora. So like yes, they grew up together and they were friends at when they grew up, but Katra always harbored a bit of resentment towards Adora because Adora was favored over her, and but whilst she was still in the Horde, it didn't make anything difference to her because they were still pretty friendly with each other at that point in time. When Adora finds the Sword of Shira and becomes Shira and leaves the Horde and starts working for the rest of the people, that's when Katra finally is like, well, basically gets rid of her top right, even though she was her friend, realizes, hey, actually, I'm doing pretty good now that she's gone. And, like, she basically betrayed me by switching over and not staying with me anymore. And she fucking, and she's fighting against the people that we had sworn allegiance to since we were kids and who have provided us with everything and who we see as the good side. So, like, yeah, I'm going to definitely, because she's like a full-on traitor and I fucking hate her ass. And so for 4 seasons, Katra continually tries to do all the while basically spot further and further down a psychotic episodes and shit that get worse and worse because she's actually constantly failing to kill Shira and to expand the Horde in to the point where she eventually takes command of the entire Horde, nearly murders Hordak. She also in one season tried pissed at Shira, and she just wants to kill her, and anything that gets her gone is fine. But then in season 5, she basically pulls a complete 180, and not for particularly good reasons either, mind. There are 2 reasons why Katra gets redeemed. One is that she gets abducted into the clutches of Horde Prime and immediately attempts to cajole him into putting her in a high position in his and he doesn't need her for that shit, so he basically treats her like crap and so okay, I'm kind of pissed now that I don't get to be in a super high up position. And reason number 2 is that she has flashbacks and Adora were childhood friends, and she found her behind some boxes after she had beaten the shit out of a bitch because Adora was trying to be friends with her too. So, like, she basically didn't get her Adora, and that's why she's now redeemed for
Couldn't
having
hear that
attempted.
part, dude. You cut out.
I said so basically, like, she job and didn't and got horny for Adora and got redeemed on that alone after having attempted to murder Adora several times, kill the entirety of the planet they were living on, and kill a bunch of people she was working with and betray them and treat them like absolute dog shit. But no, she gets redemption because she didn't get what she.
Oh, so that was what my mother was raving about.
Yeah. She was a cunt the entire series, and she stayed a cunt. And even after her supposed redemption, she was still pretty cunty.
Wait, you mean Shira or Katra?
Shira, she's like a good girl. She's like just a nice person. There's not.
Nothing really too special.
She's special, yeah. She's like magic, the descendant of a race of people. I don't know how exactly they're going to like. If you watch the original She-Ra, the original She-Ra was He-Man's sister.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kevin Smith is working on a He-Man, supposedly. I don't know if they're going to work in this. I doubt it, considering that supposedly it is of the original He-Man series rather than a spin-off or a reboot. But I'm not. I don't really know what's going to happen with that, or if She-Ra will have any connection to He-Man like she did originally.
Apparently, kind of funny. I was looking at one angry gamer and a Ruby Shill got into a fight.
Oh boy. Tell us what has happened.
Apparently, one angry gamer posted their article on DC cancels Rwby and Genlock comics after they got woke and went broke. And then it was one who responded saying, "How could they cancel the Rwby comic? If the comic, like this is the response that I was saying. They said, how could they cancel it if it's already finished? The only thing, which is funny, they don't bring up Genlock, just bring up Rwby. The only thing they did was cancel the physical printing due to the global pandemic, and then, of course, one thing, that's literally what the article says. No, it doesn't. I didn't pick this from the article you linked, but from another one. Never is the pandemic mentioned in your... You tried to push the stupid narrative that it got canceled because of wokeness, which is basically fake news. One angry gamer responded by saying, "No, you ignored what we wrote to post your own fake news on Twitter. This is from our article, which you either didn't read or didn't care about in order to push your own agenda." And then, of course, have their statement, their case, with Ruby's quality spiraling into the gutter and Genlock burned at the coal, and now it's paying toll. It was no surprise that the print edition of both comics weren't worth the paper they were printed on. So then, this person responds with, "That is an opinion, not check. Rwby bad before it's not worth printing it. You can't verify this. You can't check it. You have no official source, even an analysis of previous sales." So one angry gamer responded with, "Successful products don't before they complete their print run, bucko." And the person responds with, "Anything can get canceled because of this fucking pandemic. I guess anime conventions are not successful then." Well, I guess you didn't hear about Funimation trying to make one, Anime X, Aniplex. Yeah, so somebody sounds like a moron.
And lots of people have like done like they've held like speeches and panels over the internet instead of like
that's
having them in person, like
which is what the Anime Expo, Funimation, and Aniplex concert or convention. Then one angry gamer responds with, "Nope, the conventions are being postponed due to the pandemic." And then this person responded by saying, "They might end up being canceled as well anyway, but even if they do, I wouldn't call them unsuccessful because I'm not a petty idiot." No, not being a petty idiot whenever you're fighting with somebody over an article. they're pretty petty over because it said Rwby. Had it just Rwby, just said Genlock, would have jumped in here and fought. Considering that, but see that's why I'm saying they're being petty, because it specifically state Rwby when the article itself is both about Rwby and
Mm-hmm.
Pretty petty. It was like when they saw that on Twitter, their trigger word was Ruby.
Yeah.
They didn't, like I said, they didn't rush in to defend Genlock. Specifically, that's why I'm finding this hilarious.
Yeah, you gotta love how even the RT shields won't even show defense. You gotta love that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I love how they don't like that. That tells you something. Like, know for a fact that whenever they're defending Ruby and they're not defending Genlock, well, that tells you how great the Genlock fan base is.
It's practically non-existent, much like the Force, sadly.
Yeah,
Man.
the thing is that Genlock didn't even bother hooking anybody in. Like, it wasn't that Genlock was bad. Genlock is actually meat. It's of reasonable quality. It's solid, and it is okay, and it is boring.
I just found it to be boring and not really worth anyone's time, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not.
Man, why did I throw a grenade at that fucking running elite?
Like, it's just, oh man, it's funny to me. Like, I just laugh over it.
Yeah, it's really funny how badly these Ruby shows will defend.
Ruby
Will defend
and
the little
Rooster
show.
Teeth, and yet they won't defend everything. All because
Mm-hmm.
lesbians, despite the fact apparently one of the characters being gender fluid, if I remember correctly. And that just
Yeah,
that line just
there's
came
a
out of nowhere.
gender. There's a gender fluid character in Genlock.
Well, at least
Just
someone
made
admitted their
of that.
sexuality rather than just online and on Twitter,
Well,
the
well,
worst
I mean,
place
to be
to
fair,
reveal
it was-
anything.
Well, I mean, to be fair, in the context of of the show, it was technically admitted online.
Yeah, I mean, like, both. Well, that plus you kind of have to view it online too. So, like,
Well, if you
Ruh.
But here's the thing, though. Many pro writers and many content creators will tell you, like, unless you're trying to promote your work on Twitter, never reveal anything on it whatsoever. Because if you do world building on Twitter rather than your actual show, it means that you have proven to fail. You have failed to prove why your show should be viewed.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to that, and when it came to that transgender thing, it's like, okay, so what does it actually add to the story other than pandering, from the looks of it? Nothing, because May Marigold was a fucking useless character, except for when the plot call demanded her to turn shit invisible, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
She only had like one sentence of dialogue, so like, why would that matter?
She's a trans icon.
I don't care if she's a trans icon. What matters is what does it add to the story. If it adds nothing, you might as well just say that she was straight.
Oh, you might as well have just made her not exist for all we care. Like, seriously, you can make her not exist or change it with a completely different character and nothing would change. In fact, the only thing that would change is that, like a Robin doesn't have an invisibility cloak.
Yeah.
She didn't go to... Robin didn't get her invisibility cloak at Hogwarts, I mean Atlas Academy. I love how I'm making all these Harry Potter references, and yet I'm not a huge fan of Harry Potter.
Right?
I think it's just goes to
Yeah,
show
I
that
might
there's
be
more
British,
shit
that doesn't
wrong with
mean I'm-
Ruby than it is with us, if anything.
Mm-hmm.
If you're
Yeah,
British,
I might be
Harry
British,
Potter
but I
is
don't.
ingrained in your DNA. It is unfortunate, but that is the case. You've had it genetically spliced to the food industry in Britain. You just didn't know about it because Big Pharma was covering it up. Sad times, but it's true. Watch you some Alex Jones, then you'll get it.
Yeah. I just love how, like, I don't know, like, I haven't read a Harry Potter book. Oh, I've seen the first film. I found it boring. But like, I still know some like shit about Harry Potter as a whole. I guess that's the price of being British, I suppose. Well, that, and you have to see the deteriorating rate of the Doctor Who franchise. There's also that.
Everything basically nowadays is more deteriorating. There's very few stuff that isn't like some sort of adaptation of some sort of previously existing thing that's out there.
Yeah.
On the rare occasion when somebody actually makes something original, it sometimes is okay, or every so often good. But then again, that's like
1 in a million.
yeah, which that might be the way it has always been, and we're just like noticing it more now because of like the internet and stuff. But
Yeah.
like like you just search around till you find something good and go with that. Like don't bother good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Shame, really.
Hmm.
And I think we have strayed so far from the original topic, but I think it just goes to show, like, when you just mention only one problem with Ruby and then try to compare it to other franchises, we just spiral out of control.
Yeah, because talking about other shit is much better than talking about Ruby.
That's be true, my
It's
dear.
It is an entangled web of problems that it's got that all seem to affect each other in certain ways. If
Yes. God.
yeah, well, actually, in a weird way, if it was all good stuff, we'd probably call it the masterpiece of the century.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
And everybody would be like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, but I feel like if you're gonna talk about the problems of Ruby, you can't just stop with one thing. You have to talk about all of them.
Well,
Because they're all, like, kind
Some
of
of them-
ingrained within each other in a way.
Yeah,
I
they
mean-
they feed
I mean,
feed
another-
into each other.
I mean, another thing is just the fact that when trying to stay focused on one subject, it just spirals into other shit because it's somehow tied into the original problem. And then that goes on to another tangent and then another, and it's like we can't focus on the one problem we were meant to be discussing, despite the fact we didn't cover a huge sum of it.
Mm-hmm.
it just happens. It really does.
Yeah.
That's kind of what happens, though. I mean, like, the thing about Ruby is, like, it's just it falls on itself because of the problems. Like, when you bring up one, I think that it just others associate with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's typically what happens. Like, whenever an issue occurs, it's just with Ruby. You hear one, but everything just falls. And really, when you think about it, like, I think that shows issues with Ruby itself is that it's so broken as a series that people can't help but just notice everything that's gone on with it. I think that's like a big factor to it, because when you have those problems, they continue to resurface. You know, they stay fresh in people's minds because there continues to be more and more and good things happening. It's like what Coop said. Like when you look at it, if good things continue to happen, we'll continue to talk about the positives because it would be getting better and better, and then people be like, "Oh yeah, well this was awesome, and this was awesome. This was good. I like how they did so and so." And I mean, like there are some things, and I will say that at certain points, lesser now than used to be, there are certain points where there can still be good things that do come out of it, but it's not as much as it used to be at one point in time, I'd say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, well, I think we've discussed everything we wanted to on the stream, and now we should probably just take everything to private.
Yeah, I think it's a good time to end it here. Especially since I've been talking all night and I just realized it's morning.
I guess that's just the British time zones, isn't it, my dear?
It's 5:49 in the morning. Fuck, my mom is...
And it's only barely 9:50 my time.
Holy wakes up. Holy shit, I'm gonna be in so much trouble.
I wish I had a mom.
You're in the same boat as me. All right.
Yeah, a normal mom. You do not want a Latino mom. Think they look upon. It's a weapon to them they can use.
That's just a woman.
No, but Latino women, they have a very, very special. They are a case to them because they also have a very.
Okay, that was bullshit.
And
Have how I died.
And dear God, if you piss them off, you better pray that the president is right. Not 100%.
I remember hearing from a friend of mine who was Mexican, like, she's told me, like, yeah, like, I was smack talking my mom one time, and she was in another room. Somehow a chunkla changed aerodynamics to hit her in the back of the head from another room. Like, that is how scarily accurate a Latino woman could be with a chancla. Like, she could use it as a boomerang.
Oh, that's nothing like. Okay, so one time, one time, oh shit, I can't remember what me and my mom were arguing about, and I muffled something out of my breath where I basically dissed her fashion sense, saying, at least I could. And then, I don't know how she managed to get this, but she threw a fucking pillow at me and literally yelled, "I heard that!" I don't even know what the fucking pillow was! There was no pillows around us!
It's as if mothers have black magic to have shit appear in their hands. Like, I remember one time Alright, well, before we continue these hilarious stories, we should probably end it here.
Yeah.
Well, everyone who has stayed watching, I have to bid you adieu. Say goodbye, everybody.